Welcome to another episode or episode 5 of the Nick and CJ show. What's up, Nick? How you doing?
What's good, CJ? You guys know Monday, me and CJ. There's like usually on Monday, by the time we get here, there's so much to talk about.
Yeah.
We usually have like a plan, and there's like then the whole string go about like, damn, we didn't get through half the stuff we want to talk about. So we see how this episode goes.
Yeah, I'm absolutely expecting the same thing tonight, Nick. It's just too much stuff. That the duopoly, the empire is failing. It's so many stories.
Yeah,
to cover, so many intricacies. Go ahead.
Sometimes, like once again, like I've been doing this for about 2 years now. Like so I'm still learning like how to properly format a show.
Mhm.
Sometimes I'll be playing a show, then some breaking stuff will hit. Some comments be like, "Yo, you see this?" Then we do a whole segment on that. I'm like, I didn't get to know. I didn't get to know
the plan stuff.
Yeah, but it's good though, man. It's good.
So what do we got? What do we got on the board, Nick, for today? What are we looking at?
So my main focus, I always focus on as a citizen journalist. There's one who got a lot of different roles in this movement. I tend to focus on state violence, the class war, foreign policy. Those are my three main things. And I actually love like this new, and you coined it best when you call it the new left media sphere that's developing. Because I know a lot of people are gonna have to check this replay out because everyone's alive right now. Yeah, Savvy, Jimmy doing his thing. Then Jackson, I was just on his show. Because we're gonna talk about the 1 year anniversary of First of All. I want to get your thoughts on that as well, because that was the main theme of like his live stream, but it actually delved into a lot of great issues that we ended up talking about as well. So if you guys didn't see me on Jackson, Hinkle, make sure you gotta check that out. So yeah, we're gonna talk about. I'm gonna get CJ's thought. You guys kind of heard my thoughts on stay to the left, but I would love to hear and with you guys. Now this is my chance where I can interact with you guys. And once again, I've been tracking Biden from the left. That's something that's extremely important. Instead of focusing on a lot of the nonsense that you see a lot of people on the progressive movement focus on. So we're going to be talking about the Joe Biden horrific immigration policy. There's this report, and this is something that we predicted. He's on pace to beat Trump when it comes to deportations. And I gotta convert this to English because I couldn't find this in English. But this is from January 3rd. Once again, this is brand new, and
brand new.
Look into this as well. So let's just dive right into the story. And let me preface this. I always like to do a little preface before I actually dive into it, right? So, what have I said a lot last year, and something that's been a theme of this show, something that I wanted to introduce into the consciousness of the left, because I see a lot of people who advocate for the lesser of two evils, and I truly believe the lesser of two evils is extremely counter-revolutionary and extremely hurts the left. Because the lesser of two evils only benefits, and I said this at the time, a lot of people think I'll tweet it just for likes and retweets, but it's true. The lesser of two evils only benefit privileged white people. Because when you look at everything as the lesser of two evils, and once again, this is a very basic concept, African Americans, we are 13% of the population. So if you judge everything on the basis of, just the lesser of two evils, and if you have two parties who are openly promoting white supremacy like they are, it's easy to say, 60% of white people here, 13% of black people here. Yes, they screwing you over, but that's the lesser of two evils because they're only 13% of you, right? So This is something that inherently hurts black and brown people. That's why you see the state of black community, the state of indigenous people, and Muslims get worse whenever you get a Democratic Party a president in charge. Like things got worse when Barack Obama took over from George Bush Jr. That's why Black Lives Matter was started under him. Then I will 100%. Donald Trump was horrific. I would say Donald Trump was worse than Barack Obama.
Yeah, he was terrible. Because
once again, they just advanced the empire. The president just advanced it and escalate. But now Joe Biden is worse than Trump because the empire inherently escalates. So now if you advocate for lesser two evils, now you see what Joe Biden actually done to harm disenfranchised communities. And now a lot of those takes are aging horribly. Now before I dive into the article, CJ, you have anything you want to add?
No,
I get into the article. So the reason why I say this is because I'm not saying that Biden is horrible for no reason. Because this is we have people looking at new numbers. Deportations of minors rose 30% in 2021. CJ, remember when the number one issue was Donald Trump was a unique evil because the way he targeted kids in cages. I had people that told me in response for me refusing to vote for Jim Crow Joe, they were saying you're abandoning the migrant children. My response was always simple. I'm like, do you mean the cages that Biden built and endorsed? The one he never there was never
and they never respond to that. When you have that critique, they never respond. Oh, Obama and Joe built that. They never have a response to that, Nick. Go ahead, Nick.
How dare you bring up facts, CJ? How dare you bring up facts, Nick? You fucking far leftist horseshoe theory. You so far left that you end up helping Trump. How dare you speak up the facts of Joe Biden and who he is and the basic concept of neoliberalism. CJ, what have we said? Neoliberalism is a road to fascism. Neoliberalism kills movements and advances the country to the right. It advances authoritarianism. That is the role of neoliberalism. So do you understand how crazy I was going? We have people that were pretending the anti-racist vote is Joe Biden, Jim Crow Joe. Any thoughts, CJ? And
I do have some thoughts. At the time that Joe Biden was the lesser of two evils. I mean, I could vividly. Now, this is just everybody remember our audience. This is before FHL when we were formerly called FHL. This is before this. So but Nick and I were following each other at the time. So I distinctly remember, Nick, all of these things that you're saying and the left, and we were just like the absurdity. Why are you believing this nonsense? You get what I'm saying? So yes, I remember it vividly. I remember the cries of kids in cages. I remember all of that somehow is different now that Joe Biden is in office, including AOC in the description of those facilities too.
Now they said, well, what can you expect them to do, man? What else they gotta follow the law? Like they started using right-wing talking points real quick once the Biden agenda was revealed. So let's look into some details here. During 2021, the first year of presidency of Joe Biden in the United States. So this is a foreign outlet. I had to convert this to English. So I have a few tweets I saw that was talking about this as well, but I wanted to get some more information on it. So just in 2021, the country handed over almost 20,000. That's 19,793 minors to Mexico at the October. That's at the October cutoff. So they're not even counting November and December, right?
No.
God. And I explained why this on Jackson. I'm explaining it again after I go through the story. In the case, with the particularity that 15,488 of them was unaccompanied. Bruh. Remember the number one thing they said about Trump was he was ripping kids away from their parents. That was the entire AOC meltdown. That was justified.
So, Nick, they're being deported without their parents?
According to this report. That's the only thing, as a citizen journalist, that's the only thing I can say, guys. And if there's new information, I'll show you guys the new information. But as it is right here, and I dug this up after I saw a few influential, powerful accounts tweet about this stuff. So we see if we have more information later. But as it is, our prediction that we made, remember, CJ, when we graded Joe Biden? Our prediction that Joe Biden was going to deport more people than Donald Trump, 100% true.
Yes. Yes.
This is the I Told You So channel in the year of 2022. I'm sorry. Because this is how people learn. This is how you can break the cognitive dissonance. And there are a lot of talk about mass psychosis now because Dr. Malone introduced that phrase in probably one of the biggest podcasts ever. He was on Joe Rogan. Apparently, I heard whispers that podcast was viewed by like 50 million people. So I see everyone talking about this new phrase that he put out there. But when you see people say they are anti-racist when they vote for the Democratic Party, like we covered the Mickey Const saying that on the round table, that's the massive psychosis that not talked about. The mass psychosis that a lot of people who learn what this word is about, they will say, these same people will say, "Oh, I'm anti-authoritarianism because I reject the Republican Party and their mandates." Like I'm an anti-mandate leftist, but let's get consistent on this. These same people, they'll say, "Oh, I like Trump, and I'm anti-authoritarian, I'm anti-mandate," but they support the Republican Party that supports the Patriot Act. Donald Trump was trying to extradite Julian Assange. You guys see the intellectual inconsistencies drives me crazy, even when you're on my side.
Nick, do you think the supporters see these inconsistencies that you're pointing out? For example, do you think Trump supporters see the inconsistencies of Trump and so on for Joe Biden? Do you think that?
They don't. There's a once again, I love that Dr. Malone introduced this term, mass psychosis. That's when he talking about this regarding like the COVID freak out.
Yeah.
I'm not even using it regarding that. I'm like, guys, this is not new. Like people are like, oh my God, COVID happened. Now there's this mass psychosis. I told you guys, this is the most propagandized country in the world, period. Do you guys think this mass psychosis started because of COVID? You guys want to know what the mass psychosis is? The mass psychosis is believing that we have police that protects us when they solve less than 2% of serious crimes. These same people using the term mass psychosis because they're like, oh, I'm anti-authoritarianism, I'm anti-mandate. These same Republicans, these same right-wingers are supporting the police state. These are the same people who are against the activists who protest against the police state. So you're not anti-authoritarianism. You just want to control the authority.
Right.
That's what it is. So I was talking to I was talking to my friend. He was on slow news day. It was a very civil conversation because I was calling out the hypocrisy of the people who are anti-mandate, but I see a ton of their inconsistencies. And that's just one of them. Once again, I was on the Jimmy Dore show and I explained my position on why I'm a leftist and I don't believe in that. Richard Wolff, I aligned with him on this. Professor Wolff made the same argument that I essentially made. So I'm like, all right, that's my position, and I'm all for building coalitions. But I'm seeing sloppiness out of the anti-authoritarian movement, and because they're these same people. Once again, I'm sorry I had to keep bringing her up, but she was the best example I've seen. Where Kim Iverson, in response of the Green Party supporting mandates, she was like, all right, I'm done. I'm voting for Republicans now. What? What? Come on. Come on. And the thing is, CJ, to answer your question, they don't see it. And that's why I'm bringing this up. And I had to explain to him. He was like, why? Why are you trying to make this a partisan game? Whatever. I'm like, bro, here it is. I'll just pull it up real quick. Because this is the point I'm making right now. And this is what I want people to do. My point is, because once again, I like Slow New Day. He a friend of the show. I like the guy. We were having a conversation. He was like, I was trying to figure out who he's trying to talk about. I was calling out the contradiction. And I was like, the Trump supporters. And this is why I was like, this is my point. I'm an anti-mandate leftist who trying to use this opportunity to drag the anti-mandate right-wingers to the left by pointing out their ideological inconsistencies. And if you listen to Dr. Professor Wolff, no matter where you land on this position, Richard Wolff was like, guy, the left is missing a giant opportunity. You got workers talking about the concept of a UBI. This opportunity you can use to push pro-worker positions. Instead of mandate position, you can use this to also get them to support other positions. Because these same people, they will say, oh my God, lockdown destroy the working class. And I'm like, they destroy the working class because we didn't have a UBI. And I talked to a lot of these people like, yeah, they should pay us. There was a business owner on CNN. It was like, man, I'm voting for Trump. I'm voting for Republicans because lockdowns. But if they just pay me to keep my business closed, I'll be happy with that. So there's this mass psychosis where people just think these people are super far gone right wingers. But these are people that are being dragged to the left and realizing our system is broken. So they have a lot of dumb ideas, and these are the dumb ideas I'm calling out. But I'm like, all right, if this is your position on the government overreach on COVID, why aren't you on my side on the government overreach when it comes to the police state?
Nick, I think you're making a fantastic point. Maybe it was made first by Richard Wolff, and this is something I'm just understanding this when you're just saying this, but the left needs to, this is just one opportunity. This is many opportunities where these sort of things come up where people on the right and people on the left are in agreement, and the left is not using that agreement to get them to hear them on other issues. You get what I'm saying? So because if I say I'm a Democrat and I go talk to a Republican, they're going to have the wall up already. But if I say fuck the Democrats and Republican, that gives me a little bit of credibility with them. Now, I am attacking their team too, but I am attacking the team that they hate, right? Now, if I were also to say, hey, I'm a leftist, but I'm against mandates also. Now their ears and the wall has come down a little bit. So you can sneak past a bunch of other stuff. Hey, what about this? What about this? Why are you for police funding? They only solve 2% of serious crimes. Aren't you economically conservative? Why would you spend money on something that you get a 2% return on? That doesn't make sense. You see, it's like it gives you a door to just keep pummeling them. That's how I would do it. I would just keep so that they can't even mentally even take time to even think this. Just here, just so they can go back and be like, wow, I never thought of it that way.
I'm always looking for ideological weakness. And I will exploit that weakness in order to advance my agenda. I told you guys I'm biased as hell. You guys know my perspective. I'm advocating for the working class. I'm for Black liberation. I am for the destruction of the U.S. empire. This is very biased. This is a very biased channel, right? So my goal is to take any opportunity I can to advocate for a movement. So Richard Wolff was the guy who planted this seed, because this is one of the things I was still debating myself. I'm once again, I really thoroughly think through all these issues. I'm not one of the people that allow people to think for me. I reach all my positions through a lot of investigation, research. I hear a lot of different people say. And then I was on the Jimmy Dore show before Richard Wolff, right? And I made the argument, I'm like, when I look at the old leftist argument, the one that the ACLU made, and the previous leftist position of anti-mandate, like, that makes more sense to me, especially considering the situation where the ACLU, they made the argument before, like, if you had good public policy and you had government trust and you actually have a robust social safety net, you wouldn't need mandates. And we shared this tweet with Danny Haifong. Danny Haifong explained in Cuba, in China, they got extremely high vaccination rate. They don't got the insane mandates because they're this inherent trust in the government. So the problem with the United States is that people don't trust their government because they have no reason to. Right. They have no reason to, because they've been lying this entire pandemic. So they had to put these inefficient mandates on right now. That are they working? No. Because that was the ACLU's point. The ACLU and leftist point before, that a lot of people got lost in the sauce and they forgot. They said these mandates are ineffective because the only thing it does is create a two-tier system. It hurts workers. We lost a ton of healthcare workers because of this, and many other customer service workers because of this. And people who are lost in the sauce in the culture war, they say fuck them. They say fuck these fucking people. They deserve to go homeless. They deserve to starve. But I'm saying, do you want to ruin the lives of your political opponents, or do you want a well-functioning society? Because my argument is, I don't care. I want a society that runs well. So they justify it by, okay, this system is fucking over people, but it's fucking over the right people. It's fucking over the Trump supporters. It's fucking over the people who are not following in line with our agenda. And once again, I've been following this, and that's why I led to my position. And then Richard Wolff, he made his argument, and I'm like, oh my god, that's brilliant. That's a brilliant, that's a brilliant Marxist perspective. And then I'm like, that's a great. Let's use this. And I quote, I'm gonna pass it right to you, CJ. But I quote, Richard Wolff said, the left is missing a tremendous opportunity, because we were seeing right wingers saying pro worker stuff we haven't seen.
Yes.
Ever since the Reagan era destroyed their brain. So even if you disagree on this point of mandates, guys, like, even if you disagree with these things, like, you gotta think strategically, and as a pro worker Marxist, like, this is like the point of view of the channel. Like, you gotta think in that perspective, and that's what Richard Wolff was doing. But the liberals don't want to do that because they don't give a fuck about class. They love the destruction of the workers. But CJ, any thoughts?
Well, what I wanted to say, man, I just lost it. Hang on a second. Mandates. Shit. I just lost it. We were talking about, I know it happens all the time. Richard Wolff, strategies for the left. I was using this as a way to convert people. And that's why, and I have a few tweets, and I probe both sides. I think both sides in a lot of ways can be ridiculous. So I want to keep people ideologically consistent. Go ahead, CJ. No, what I was going to say is about mandates. I do want to say this about mandates. It is on topic, but to me, it's about freedom. And there's one way to judge freedom is your free will to do it. And to me, freedom, real freedom, Nick, cannot be abridged by a pandemic. It's simple. Like, so my reasoning is very simplistic, is that everything you're saying about the pandemic, about the vaccinations, it can be true. Let's say the pandemic is killing everybody. Let's say let's just say the vaccination cures. I still am not for forcing people to do anything. Freedom means free will. Freedom means free will. And it includes, and this is the argument that, what if your freedom is infringed? My freedom is not. Nobody's telling you to walk next to me and breathe on me. Nobody's telling you to do any of that. Nobody is telling you to do the things that interact with me, to interact with my space. Nobody is telling you to do that. So if you're saying that because the pandemic, this virus is in the air, that somehow makes my freedom abridged for this pandemic, that's absurd. That's simply absurd, because we, like, what person can stop the air, Nick? We can't stop. You get what I'm saying? We can't stop things from moving throughout the air. We can't do any of that. So that is not the fault of the unvaccinated, is what I'm getting to. If I lost that point, that is not the fault of the unvaccinated. And again, I'm going to leave you with the same thing I keep saying. For me, it's simple. A pandemic does not bridge true freedom, does not abridge or change or adjust true freedom. I have the choice of free will, even if it includes my choice means my own demise. Meaning, if I don't take the injection, the jab, I could die. That's my choice in a free will, a free society.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, the reason why a lot of people just immediately dismiss anyone who have any critique that's outside the mainstream. But it's like we're criticizing bad public policy. So it's like they show numbers, which I 100% endorse. I say if you are high risk, if you know people high risk, get the vaccine. That's my message. It's not a big deal. Like, just fucking get it, whatever. Because according to data, and this is what YouTube wants to say, this is what we gotta say this, it reduces hospitalization. It reduces the risk of serious illness and death, right? That's why the mandates don't make sense. If you get the vaccine, you are protected.
Right.
So why are you mandating and destroying the lives of people for them not getting the vaccine when you're already protected? So once again, we're just saying that's bad policy. So you need good public policy. And once again, I have a lot of disagreements with people on this. Mm-hmm. Like, I think you should pay people to stay home. Right. There's some people that are like, oh my God, lockdowns are bad. I think neoliberal lockdowns are bad. So once again, this is something that they because the same people,
I was just gonna say they're not describing the entire thing. Like, this is the we don't want that type of lockdown where they don't pay you, where they don't, pay your full wage and keep your job. So when the pandemic is over, you just go back. Like that. That's not what we're talking about. Go ahead, Nick.
I'm gonna see if I find the video, but you gotta see what they do in China. They had lockdowns in China, but they had lines of service workers that were passing out food to people while they was locked down. So it's like my position is, and I understand the position of when I look at the gray zone, a lot of these people I like, because they talk about how the global South was destroyed by lockdowns, and I'm like, I 100% I agree, but I think this is because of bad neoliberal policies, also because of sanctions, because of the fact that they do want these socialist countries to fail. My argument is, and once again, this is one I told you guys both my takes, because I don't agree with a lot of people on this issue, right? So I'm anti-mandate, but I am for good public policy. And if you had lockdowns, and once again, I talk about the business owner that gave an interview, and I covered this a long time ago. I want to find this clip, and he was a right winger, and he was like, man, I'm tired of these COVID policies. I'm tired of these lockdowns. If you guys would have paid me to stay home and keep my business afloat, I would have been okay with that. But he was furious because they destroyed his business.
Right.
So I'm like, bro,
Nick, you can't lock down. People are against lockdowns and not financial support. That's what we are against. You can't lock down and then send me one check in 7 months. Exactly. You get what I'm saying? That's not what I'm advocating. And I do want to say this because it's always going to be people. I'm pro-vaccination. I'm against mandates. I'm pro-vaccinations. I don't believe that, I believe that vaccinations can help. I'm talking vaccinations in general, not specifically. Yeah, just vaccinations can help. So that's not what I'm saying. I'm for getting the jab. Go get the jab if you're part of the vulnerable group. Go get it. That's what I suggest you do. That's not something I think people should be required to do. That's all I'm saying.
Like, how is it? That does not make any sense. Why that's a controversial position? It doesn't make any sense at all. That right. I mean, and once again, that was the leftist position before the COVID mass psychosis hit, right?
Well, I think it was a Pfizer mass psychosis that hit, Nick, because a lot of the things, like for example, ACLU, why are they flipping? Why have they flipped on this? It's making me believe that there's some sort of money involved here. It doesn't make any other sense, because if you're left, whatever your argument was for mandates in the past, why aren't that? You know what I mean? This pandemic doesn't change that. Go ahead, Nick.
Do you think they give a fuck about public health? If you're one of the pro-vax Dr. Fauci cultists, do you really think they give a fuck about public health? Look at what the CDC just did. They just reduced your the stay-at-home time, the isolation time from people who are being exposed to COVID. They did that because they want Biden to be able to get people back to work, right, so they can run on a strong economy in 2022. They changed their mind because the CDC and the neoliberal establishment was all for destroying the economy with bad neoliberal lockdown policies when Donald Trump was president. But then when Joe Biden became president, all of a sudden, 3 feet social distancing instead of 6 feet in schools. People forgot the CDC did that too. The CDC been long corrupt. The recent one pissed off everyone. I even seen shit libs was like, what the? Even the shit libs was like. But I was telling people they've been doing this from day one.
Yeah. But I think to me, this is a sign like that. What CDC, when the CDC did that, to me, the first thing I thought, this is a clear sign that this empire is failing. You have an entity that like this openly just not even caring that, hey, yeah, the CEO of this Delta said, ask us, and yeah, we're gonna do it. Like they're just blatantly do it. Is no more like back behind doors deals or any sort of backroom dealings. It's right up front in front of us. Delta CEO, can you cut it in half? CDC, it's cut in half. There you go. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on.
It's so out in the open. It's so comical. And there's still people that worship the throne of Dr. Fauci and these fucking corrupt people people forget Dr. Fauci was the head during the AIDS crisis. And the CDC,
he should have lost his job then. He should have lost his job over the AIDS crisis.
They was all connected in downplaying in mishandling the AIDS crisis in order to help Ronald Reagan politically. Dr. Fauci and these public health officials are literally agents of the politicians,
right?
At least the ones who are in the club. So they wanted to defeat Donald Trump. So I think they gave him purposely bad neoliberal policies that were purposely designed to destroy the economy. So then they can say, "Oh my God, look at Trump! Look at the economy under Trump." And then under Biden, we explained this on our Thursday roundtable. Biden already running on the fact they're like, look at 2022, we got the strongest economy in United States history. You know how they always lie. They do some bullshit numbers, but they are running on that. So that's why they are relaxing protocols, because it's all about keeping the party in charge. So people who actually believe they care about health, you guys are fools. The people who spend all their time blaming the unvaccinated, once again, I made this argument on Jimmy's show. I will never blame them. I would never. I'm gonna show you guys that this was. Sabby had a banger on Twitter. She had a banger.
Yeah, I saw that. I know which one. Put that up. Yeah, I saw that.
This is the thesis of what I am trying to say in a tweet. So the test at Walgreens was $9.99 each. If you had a family of 5, that's $50. So they were like, we have a public health crisis, but you got to pay for it. What kind of stupid government plan is this? So then the Biden administration was asked about this. Jim Psaki was asked about this. They said, why don't you just send free home kits? And then it was like, what are you supposed to do? Just send everyone free kits? Yes, motherfucker.
Yes, and that's exactly what they're doing. We're being ran. This country is being ran by a bunch of just.
CJ, then they want us to blame the unvaccinated. This is why I said I won't do it. This is their fault. Like the ACLU said before, you don't need mandates. You need public health trust and communication. Right. Our government is doing the exact opposite. So I know there are people on the left that disagree with me on this, but if you are, just think about what the arguments we are making. The government don't give a fuck about you. Every single decision they made was to make big pharma, and this is a fact, $1,000 per second on the vaccine. There's a story I'm gonna cover. There's 7 new CEOs in big pharma that are billionaires in 1 year. You guys think they give a fuck about public health?
What I don't understand, and this is friends of ours, some leftists who have a different point of view. What I don't understand is like it feels like, this is just my speculation, it feels like some leftists are finding a way to have a non-leftist view because they're afraid, because they're believing the propaganda of the virus. That's what it feels like to me. So they've made themselves go, I'm going to figure out a way to make this position of mandates a leftist position because I'm scared as a motherfucker about this pandemic and I'm believing everything. That's what I don't understand, Nick. Why is it that some leftists disbelieve everything the government says except for when it comes to this pandemic? Why are they going to tell us the truth in this situation when they don't want to send us money? We had to wait how many months to even get anything? Remember in September or July, they went home when that first thing expired. They went home on July 31st and nothing was passed. They went home.
Mass psychosis. That's the mass psychosis. I'm gonna pass it right to you, but I want to make this point because you made a good one. Like, why do they like fuck big pharma, fuck the government, but then soon as the issue that they can run on fear, they can take advantage of fear. All of a sudden, I trust the government.
Yeah, I don't understand
psychosis. And I also call out the right wing for the same thing, CJ. These people say the right wingers. Once again, we call it the left. Now I'm gonna go to the right. These people say, I don't trust CNN. I don't trust MSNBC. Our government always lies to us. Don't trust the government. But then they will believe everything CNN says about Venezuela.
Yeah.
They will believe everything MSNBC and the government says about socialism. You see that?
Yeah.
Our only job is to call out intellectual inconsistencies. That's the only thing I can do. Go ahead.
Right. So even if let's say you know the point is it's just simply inconsistent to me it's inconsistent to say I'm pro-choice and then I'm for mandates. That's inconsistent to me. That's inconsistent that you're saying government, keep your hands off me if I'm a woman, keep your hands off my body, or if you're a man, keep your hands off women's bodies. But then when it comes to the pandemic, hey, go ahead. No, everybody got to get a jab and make it a mandate. Like that doesn't make sense to me. That's intellectually inconsistent.
And that's the only thing we can do on the show. That's what we're trying to do is call out the hypocrites. Now to wrap up this segment, I think this is a great segment. To wrap up this segment, I think I always like to think all my arguments are nuanced and well thought out. Once again, I call out intellectual inconsistencies because even when I catch myself and I do it all the time, I catch myself like, okay, Nick, you're inconsistent here, readjust. Mm-hmm. That should be your main goal, constantly readjusting to make sure you're not intellectually inconsistent. So once again, as someone who is a Marxist and someone who believes in community, and as someone who just explained their position as an anti-mandate leftist, some of the people who are anti-mandate, you guys honestly start to lose me sometimes. Because there's sometimes these people, once again, they're caught in the sauce of the COVID culture war, where these people will say, fuck that, fuck masks, I will never wear masks, fuck social distancing guidelines, I will never follow that, do not comply on social. So my position as someone who believes in doing the best for your community, I am willing to make personal sacrifices for the betterment of my community. So the reason why I'm anti-mandate, because I don't think people should be forced by the government on these bad public health policies. But if you are a Marxist, if you're someone who has class solidarity, it makes no sense for you to be like, I don't give a fuck about making people sick. I don't give a fuck about wearing masks. I don't give a fuck masks, fuck all this, fuck vaccines. I told you guys, if you're vulnerable, get it, because that makes sense because people are dying without it, right? And I'm also, once again, this is ties in with me being anti-mandate. But also, this is my position as a pro-worker, right? So if you're like one of the people like, I don't want to comply with any public health policies, right? And you go to some grocery store and you get some grocery worker sick, what do you think that means for them? Then all of a sudden they got to take time off and then they're missing a paycheck. So I am adding this nuance to all the entire conversation that we just had. I am anti-mandate because I don't believe authoritarianism, how you should have people forced to public health policy. But if you are a Marxist or if you think you have class solidarity, but you don't give a fuck about infecting people, you're missing the point, because that is actually destroying workers. That's not a pro-worker position. I've seen people like, I will not even gonna stay home if I'm sick. Fuck the cities. That is not.
I haven't seen that. I haven't seen this. This is craziness. I'll be honest with you, Nick. I didn't know there were leftists that believe this. Yeah.
I would say this is more on the right than the left, not the left. Okay. I think most people on the left acknowledge this. So I do want to be clear. I see this a lot more among the right wingers who are like anti-mandate, like fuck public health. I think most left wingers do acknowledge that you gotta have community. But once again, this is me calling out intellectual inconsistencies. And I want people, and that makes the people who want to say you're anti-vax because you're anti-mandate, that makes them look extremely ridiculous when they see my entire position. Because I just laid out my entire position. I don't think the government should be able to mandate this on people, but I think you're ridiculous if you're not following public health that you think is actually good. I criticize the government public health. I think they're lying to you. I think they got profit motive. But if you're just saying fuck, like I've seen people get mocked because they're like, they wear a mask and they're like, oh, you wearing a mask? What the fuck is wrong with you? I'm like, I literally see all the time. Why are you mocking people for wearing a mask, bro? Yeah. Like that's not a
hey.
I see it.
Herman Cain mocked people too, and where is he?
Yeah, so
Herman Cain mocked people.
Nuance? Isn't that Nuance, guys? You see the whole position I just laid out for you guys? Mm-hmm. And this is the position. It took me a lot of thought. And also, to wrap this segment up, I put the Patreon in the description. 3 out of the last 4 live streams we did have been demonetized. And I guarantee you, after this segment that I did not have planned.
Yeah, we didn't plan to talk about this.
Yeah, that was not. I told you, we are not a. We don't plan on these segments. We just me and CJ, we just riff. So we wouldn't plan on talking about this. And I guarantee you, after this conversation, where I just gave you the left critique of the government, I told you Fauci was corrupt. I told you the CDC was corrupt. I told you mandates suck. They're going to demonetize us and not even give us a strike. So if you want to support the channel, please this shit is demonetized as hell.
Yeah. That is true. That is very true. So what let's see if we can get to one of the topics that was actually
you want to dive in a few comments and then we can transition to if we can see some comments.
Yeah, actually let's do that.
So yeah, we can just have a quick Q&A and then we do next. Dr. Malone got kicked off Twitter. What does that tell you? I guess should we talk that kind of transitions to our next story.
Yeah, that kind of helps to transition.
So let's do it. You just helped. I wasn't playing. So we was about to talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene being banned on Twitter, but since we had this question by Martin, we're gonna start off with this. I'm gonna get CJ's thoughts on this. Dr. Malone got kicked off Twitter. What does that tell you? You can answer that question too, but I also want to twist it and say, what's your overall thoughts on like they banning doctors now? And once again, I'm not even that familiar with Dr. Malone's work. I watched the interview with Jimmy, and he doesn't seem crazy, but like this dude is a fucking legit scientist, and they just banned him from public discourse.
Yeah. So what does that tell you about believe science? That means that's not what they're talking about.
They're not.
When they say believe science, Nick, that literally means believe these few people who are scientists, believe these people only. It does not mean believe science. Like, because and people need to stop thinking that science is just one-sided. There's experts that have differences of opinions. There's doctors who have differences of opinions. There's epidemiologists who have differences of opinions, right? So Dr. Malone gets taken off. First off, it is still, Nick, when I hear, it is still shocking to me in a free speech society that people can't say what they want to say. Like, to me, every time I'm hearing these stories, I'm always shaking my head like, how is it that people can't say what they want to say on Twitter, on Facebook? How is that the case? And this, I'm going to leave you with this last point and pass it back to you. Misinformation, the government, capitalists. Do you watch commercials? All commercials are misinformation. Every single thing they're saying in a commercial is misinformation. Drinking a Dr. Pepper and laughing and that's misinformation. You get what I'm saying? Like our media, corporate media, misinformation. So the point that I'm trying to make, Nick, I guess state lies are okay. I think we said this before in a previous episode. State lies are okay. State lies are even better than the people's truth. You get what I'm saying? You're going to be censored if you're telling the truth that Joe Biden is terrible. You're going to be censored if you're telling the truth that Joe Biden is a war criminal. You're telling the truth if you're going to be censored if you're telling the truth that Barack Obama is a war criminal. But again, Nick, it is still shocking to me that people can't say stuff, and now it's being called misinformation. To me, this is the first step into sliding completely into fascism. The first step is bottling all dissent, blocking out all dissent. What do they do in these other dictator countries? People talking against the government, somehow they end up dead. People speaking the truth, somehow they end up dead. So I'm not saying we're there yet. Maybe we are. But Nick, what I'm saying is a government, a people, a corporate media pushing to censor people in a country that we say is a free speech society. It is protected. That means lies are protected. That's why capitalists can lie in commercials. But in this case, it's not. So my last point about Dr. Malone is Dr. Malone, to me, was censored not because of misinformation, because of the information he was giving goes against Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, goes against them making money. To me, that's what this is all about, Nick. That's what the multiple boosters, are about. That's what these mandates are about, is that Big Pharma is forcing its will through the government on us. And that, to me, is what's happening. I'll pass it back to you, Nick.
You remember when Dr. Fauci said, "I am science"?
Yes.
The most embarrassing quote of 2021. The idea, if you criticize Dr. Fauci, you're anti-science. This is the mass psychosis that hit everyone. And as someone who, there was a point where I was reading a ton of science journals. I was like really enthusiastic about reading about space. I went through a big science phase. Science is questioning science.
That is science.
You literally get a law through getting your theory constantly peer reviewed. So are you guys serious right now? You guys see the psychosis that is happening? They took the idea, the scientific method is all about trying to disprove what someone else proved. So what does it say when you ban the concept of even doing that? So now there are people that say, oh, there are scientists that disagree with Dr. Malone. Okay, have the public conversation and discourse about it.
Right.
And once again, this goes against good public health policy, because the reason why Cuba and China they don't need mandates because they have public health trust. Right. So when you have a government that is banning dissent on information regarding science, what else creates mistrust in the government more than that? So I am telling you guys, even if you disagree with our point, I am telling you your strategy is horrific. Because now you guys banned Dr. Malone on Twitter. He went on Joe Rogan. It was one of his most watched episodes of all time. The number I heard, and this was a few days ago. Who knows what?
Oh, he went on there again, because I watched the original, because he was on there before. I watched that one.
Oh, wait, you didn't know about that?
Oh, he went on another one. Oh, I didn't know about that.
DJ, they fucked up, bro. They fucked
50
up.
50 million people watched that because he got banned, and then he went on the Joe Rogan show.
They are idiots. The Streisand effect 2022 version just happened. They banned Robert Malone on Twitter. And if I get the number wrong, let me know. Correct me. But I thought I saw he had like 200,000 followers. Let me know if I got that number. Let me know if I got that number right, guys. Like, how many followers did Dr. Malone have before he was banned? I thought it was like 200, 300, maybe a million. Maybe I'm underestimating. Let's say he had 1 million followers on Twitter, right? He went from having 1 million followers on Twitter. Now his Substack just blew the fuck up. He went from 1 million followers on Twitter. Now 50 million people on the Joe Rogan podcast saw him. I saw people in the comments saying he was on Jimmy, and then Jimmy had a giant episode after that when they were talking about his Twitter ban. You guys just opened the Pandora's box like morons. And this is what we told you guys. I remember when we had this debate years ago when you guys banned Alex Jones. Remember when you guys banned Alex Jones on Twitter? And I said, I hate Alex Jones because he is a PSYOP campaign designed to divide the workers, right? So I don't like Alex Jones. But what you did by banning him on Twitter, it's turned into a martyr. And
Right.
now he's bigger than ever. You guys literally increased his platform. Then all of a sudden you have people that want to talk to him. He said he had 500K on Twitter. Thank you, uncle, brother. So he went from 500K on Twitter, that's how many people followed him, to a platform that gave him 50 million. And now his Substack, God knows what numbers he's putting up on that now. Oh my God, I didn't do a follow-up on that, but that makes sense, CJ. What are your thoughts?
No, I just don't understand, Nick. I don't understand. I'm not gonna say that. I was gonna comment on something and somebody said in the comments, but I changed my mind.
Hold that thought.
I changed my mind. I'm not gonna do that.
Hold that thought. Mm-hmm. I literally just saw something, and this is the second time I saw it. I saw it on Twitter, and I went to fact check it. Mm-hmm. So, hold on, let me. God damn it, I gotta turn that. Give me a second so I can pull this out. I gotta turn the ad block off.
This comment is crazy.
Here, check this out, CJ, because this is right on topic. Holy shit. YouTube takes down. What the damn it? YouTube takes down anti-vax Joe Rogan interview with Dr. Robert Malone. Bruh.
I don't understand how people are not getting upset. They're taking down. Who does this? Who?
Guys.
They're taking down just people talking.
Yeah, I literally looked at the video I just posted, guys. I kind of literally just roasted Joe Rogan. I literally just did a video roasting this dude.
Yeah, I saw that. He's a shit leader.
Because he was like Barack Obama. He's so smart. He was a good leader. He was the best president of my lifetime. I told you guys, I think Joe Rogan's a shit lib that don't really bring much. But look at this. I cannot side with this shit. This is a completely different culture from when me and CJ grew up.
That's why I'm so shocked. It's like, what?
This is not our culture, bro. Like the idea that you hear people that you disagree with, we have arguments, bro. That were the barbecue arguments. Like, we sit down and we talk about shit. The idea, remember, I did a segment a very long time ago. I think it was pre-FHL. When people asked me about cancel culture, and I remember at the time I scoffed at it. I was like, bro, cancel culture is not real. And I still maintain this in a way, man. Cancel culture is not real. But I realized since then, there are people who want to make it real. Like, these are the West Coast, East Coast people. These are the people who are in the bourgeoisie class. These are the people, they hear people who have opposing opinions, and they immediately shut down because they also part of the managerial class. So they used to controlling people. So they're not used to seeing people with different opinions than them. And as someone who's a worker, someone who had to be around Republicans, when I saw cars in Kansas, and people around black people who are, like, I have an uncle who fucking was supporting Michael Bloomberg. Like, black people are not a monolith, and we argue about shit. So the idea of cancel culture, being from a black dude from Kansas City, it does not make sense to me. Because I'm an argumentative motherfucker, and I want to be right, and I want to argue against you, and I want to prove you wrong. But people like, I don't want to do that. We shouldn't even entertain them. We should just cut them off of society. We should ban them from YouTube. Like, if I disagree with Joe Rogan and Dr. Malone, the last thing I would want is their YouTube video to be pulled. I'll be like, yo, I'm going to debunk this fucking video. Yeah. Anti-vax piece of shit. I'm going to show Joe Rogan. That would be my mindset. You see that mindset?
But listen to this, Nick. What are they doing by taking the content down? Like, the people, you're taking the content down because you don't want people who don't know the information that Dr. Malone is giving out to hear it. That's my opinion. They're not taking down this information because he's telling lies and he's making up shit. They're taking down they're taking down his content because they don't want people to hear the information that he's giving. And this is what I have to say. If a person says the sky is red, do I need to censor them, Nick? The sky's not red. What do I need to censor them for? For what?
That's a good analogy, man.
The sky is not red. Why am I censoring them? So if Marjorie Taylor Greene says, COVID, just, drink a Coke and you're going to be good. Drinking a Coke doesn't get rid of COVID. So why are we censoring her? Go ahead, Nick.
But the Russian misinformation wants us to believe the sky is red, so we got to shut down the Russian misinformation.
Right.
Like, I don't know. I can't even think about what they're like. We can't have people talk about the sky is red because that leads people down a path of science. Like, I don't get the logic. I can't even properly mock it. Like, it's such a stupid. Like, when I see people have dumb ideas, I'm like, bro, I'm gonna do a live stream. I don't have to say nothing. I'm gonna debunk this up. Why do you guys think I do entire live streams where I talk about the concept of defund the police? Because I hear motherfuckers talk about the idea over and over again. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go on my live stream. I'm gonna debunk that shit. That's what I do. So the idea that you're gonna shut down discourse, that you're not want to talk to people that disagree with you instead of trying to win these people over, that's not my culture.
But the thing is, Nick, okay, you took down Marjorie Taylor Greene. Is that her name? Marjorie Taylor Greene. You took her off. The people who were listening to her, do you think they all of a sudden changed their mind because you took them off? What does that's what I'm getting to. What does it do? Like, so you took Trump off Twitter. Do you think the 70 plus million people voted for him? Do you think they all of a sudden said, okay, he's off Twitter, let's go support Joe Biden? They did not. They didn't do that. So none of these things do anything. So I was against them taking Trump off. I was against them taking Marjorie Taylor Greene off. I'm against them taking Malone off. Why are we taking off people who are simply saying words? Why are you so afraid of people saying words unless they're saying the words that goes against you making profit? They're saying the words that goes against you staying in power. They say, you get what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make, again, it's the same analogy. It's like, if somebody says the sky is red, I don't need to censor them. I don't.
I love that analogy. So you guys know who else agrees with us on this issue? And I remember when I saw this headline, there was a part of me that's proud. I mean, and I go hard in the paint on Bernie Sanders, bro. Mm-hmm. But there is a part of me that always happy when I see him get the issue right. I'm gonna be real with you guys. You guys can call me a softie or whatever.
I agree.
You guys know you guys see me drag this fucking man, but I love when Bernie gets some shit right. Like, to be honest with you guys. So this is what he said on this issue. And this caught me by surprise. I was like, God damn, Bernie got it right. Got good shit. Bernie Sanders doesn't feel comfortable about Twitter's permanent ban against Trump, despite him being a pathological liar. Mm-hmm. So now all Bernie Sanders' fears are starting to come true. Because literally the concept of what we're seeing with Malone and Marjorie Taylor Greene is exactly Bernie's logic. But let's read it here. It's been a while since I read it. Let's slow down here. I'm going to show you guys his argument. This is Bernie. I will not do impressions, but you just hear just do his voice in your head. Look, you have a former president in Trump who is a racist, a sexist, a homophobe, a xenophobe, a pathological liar. I literally hear all this shit in my head. An authoritarian, somebody who doesn't believe in the rule of law. This is a bad news guy. Sanders, well, I can skip that part, that fluff. When asked about if there's truth to the critique that liberals have become too censorious. Hell yeah. Without a doubt. Hold on. Why was my spot? All right, so, and then he continued, but if you're asking me, do I feel particularly comfortable that the then president of the United States could not express his views on Twitter? I don't feel comfortable about that. And I actually made this point when we covered, I don't remember who I did with. I do show a lot of you. I was with one of y'all. We covered, I think it was Sabby. I was on Sabby's show. The Candace Owens interview with Donald Trump.
Yeah, that was Sabby.
And then that interview was extremely interesting because Candace Owens was trying to get Donald Trump to repeat anti-vax talking points. But then Donald Trump was like, whoa, the vaccine is great. It's just the mandates are bad. The vaccine are great. He was like, this is the MAGA accomplishment. This is what we do. Right. Like, I don't know why you guys are anti-vax. Like, this is our accomplishment. Don't make Joe. He said, don't let them congratulate and hijack our victory. And Candace Owens' mind was blown. Blown. So the reason I'm bringing this up, imagine if you had Donald Trump on Twitter during its entire right-wing anti-vax craze. Do you guys understand the difference that would have made? You had Donald Trump tweeting out pro-vax shit like he was doing on the Candace Owens show. So
go get the Trump vaccination. Imagine him saying that. Go get the Trump vaccination. Yeah. The Trump vaccination. Put me back in office. That's my vaccination.
And Trump supporters are such a cult. If he said that, they are 100% doing it. Trump. These are the same people. Well, Trump straight up advocated for socialism. He was like, he did an interview where he was like, yeah, I think we should cover them all. I think we should cover everyone with healthcare. And then I swear, I remember when this happened so clearly. When he said that, show, like, oh my God, Trump just advocated for universal healthcare. And then I thought right wingers would be mad. But when he said that, they was like, hell yeah, Trump, right, with healthcare, Trump care. And I'm like, oh my God, this dude Trump, he has the power to move these motherfuckers wherever he wants. And then he was talking about the trade deals that Republicans used to support. They used to believe in free trade. That was the position of the Republican Party. And then he went against Hillary Clinton and called him out for NAFTA. And all of a sudden, Republicans sound like Bernie Sanders on the issue of trade. So the reason I'm bringing this up is if you had Trump on Twitter, like literally tweeting out pro-vaccine shit, this whole entire anti-vax movement on the right would be dead. Because I don't give them no props. I think they were just sheep who just follow their favorite politicians the same way AOC fans, the same way progressive stands follow their favorite politicians, right? Any thoughts, CJ?
Yeah, I'm against any censoring, and this is the response you get. Twitter is not the United States government. A private organization can censor you. Really? In the United States? You get what I'm saying? Like the United States say free speech is okay, and then there's an organization that says, or Twitter says, hey, no, it's not. Like that to me is a problem. But the bigger issue, when they took Donald Trump off the air, what were we saying, Nick? We were saying this is not good. If they could take a sitting president, if they can censor a sitting president, what do you think they're going to do to the left? And literally weeks after that, President-elect and his crew and the new incoming people began to push big tech to start censoring the left. And it was a big push. I remember it was like the first couple of weeks of January, people were like, hey, this came down. Somebody took this down. I got a strike. And I was like, what the hell is going on? Do you remember that, Nick? It was like an assault. Like just all of a sudden, like hardline media was getting this. And then Franco was getting some. And then Fiorello, something happened with Fiorella. And then I think even with Graham, something happened. I was in Lee Kim. I was like, what the hell is going on?
This is why this is a great transition. I love how this always happens. This is actually a great transition to this topic I want to address. Well, I'm like, no, like we don't need them. We need people who are anti-establishment, the people who are not tied to the Republican Party, people who are not tied to the two-party duopoly. Most people don't vote. Most people are not dumb enough to think a comment like Donald Trump gives a fuck about them.
Right.
And why am I going so hard on Trump supporters right now? And why I have long given up on trying to convert them to the left? Because they are hypocrites who at the end of the day don't give a fuck. Don't give a fuck. Right? So you would say
they're very similar to the K-Hive, where they don't have no logic. They don't give a fuck what the person they like is doing. I support Kamala. I support Trump. Go ahead.
The reason why I'm going so hard on them right now, because you just mentioned the wave of leftists that was censored on social media.
Mm-hmm.
I have covered on my show the Sandinistas that was banned on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram because the United States government cracking down on their free speech. Trump supporters, when it comes to the government censoring leftists, Black Lives Matter, there was just a report that I'm gonna probably break down here very soon on how the FBI infiltrated Black Lives Matter. But Trump fans hate Black Lives Matter, and have you seen them advocate against that? When have you ever seen a Trump supporter? Oh my God! I know we don't agree with socialism, but them censoring the socialists in Nicaragua, this is horrible. We got to stand for this. No, guys, they won't. So they will sell you out. Go for the people who are not partisans. The idea that we can win these Trump supporters over, I think this is not true, because in the middle of the defund the police movement, in the middle of our protest last year, they was taking the side of the state against us. So what do you think is going to happen when we demand a general strike, when we start shutting shit down and the police start cracking down on the workers? I do not trust these people not to sell me out to the state. So my strategy now is to reach out to people who are otherwise apolitical, who I can radicalize. I am done radicalizing partisans. And once again, I didn't even have this position like 2 or 3 years ago. I am looking at the authoritarian nature of the quote unquote right-wing populists. The same people who will say, oh, I am for the working class. I'm a right-wing populist for the working class. But then they will fearmonger about defund the police. If you are for our giant police budgets, you are not class conscious, and I cannot form a coalition with you. And that's Trump supporters. So that's why I'm dragging them so hard. And if you're a Trump supporter and you're like, damn, I don't fuck with Trump no more. I think Republican full of shit. What he's saying is on point. Actually, fuck the police state. Welcome aboard.
Yes.
But I'm not spending political capital. I'm not wasting my time. That would be the same as me wasting my time trying to get some shit lib Amy Klobuchar supporter to
right.
To
Nick,
the same thing.
Nick, there's 100 million people that don't vote. That's who we should be going after. There's 100 million people. Now, this last election, it was less than that because more people voted, but there's 100 million people that don't vote. So that's who I say we should be going after. But just to your point, when we're talking about Trump supporters, to me, because it's not about policy, it's about what Trump represents to them, right? The other point I want to make is this. There are white people that hate the police too. You ever go to the rural South? Go to a rural white area. Go to a mobile home area in a poor white neighborhood. They'll be fuck the police too. They saying fuck the police too. So you see, that's we're in the same boat in that situation. You got urban people of color and you got white people, rural Americans in the same boat when we're talking about education, underfunded school, in the same boat when we're talking about the infrastructure of your city, underfunded, streets, the infrastructures are underfunded. So we're talking about education, infrastructure, economic opportunity. There's no jobs in urban America. There's no jobs in rural America. Right? We're in the same boat. Police brutality. What do they do to poor whites? Because when a white person falls below a certain economic threshold, it's almost like they become an honorary person of color because they're treated like a poor person, right? They're treated poor. A poor white is treated very similar to a poor black or poor whatever, because capitalism is an adversary to poverty, right? It's an adversary to poverty. So capitalism doesn't like poverty in whatever color it is. But the point that I'm making, Nick, is that leftists, we have to pull out those things that are common, right? And so that we can bring these people aboard. Like I said, normally there's about 100 million people that don't vote. That's who we should be going after, because the other people, the 80 or so million people that voted for Joe Biden and the 70 or so million people that voted for Donald Trump, those are the people that are propagandized the most. Those are the people who are the hardest. Those are the people who have no logic in their stance, even when you have proven them wrong and they know it. Pride won't let them do that because they're part of this red-blue game. So again, like, I'm not for that. I'm with you, Nick. So go after the people that don't vote. Go after the people that haven't voted yet. Go after the people that haven't voted in 10 years. Go after the people I haven't watched news. Those people, that's the people I want to. You don't watch news? Let me talk to you. Let's talk. Let's rap a little bit. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah. So I was showing some comments up there, some good and some who disagree with me, and I want to address the ones who disagree with me. I literally put them up on the screen for a reason. There are people, and most of the comments were saying you can't. Let me see if I can find a few. But a few of them were saying you can't. He said don't throw all Trump voters in the same boat. Let's see. There's another one. There's a few who disagree. Once again, I like Martin. Martin's a good faith commentator in our community. I disagree, Nick. We can certainly move some. They are not monolithic. So now let me give. I'm going to show you guys my response here, right? So now once again, it's all about being intellectually consistent. Now, if you're a good faith actor and you hear me, I'm gonna get to that super chat right after I make this last point. If you're a good faith actor and you see me poke out your inconsistencies in your ideology, you will be like, "Oh, damn, he made a good point. Let me start standing in solidarity with these people." And he made a good point. If you hear my point, and you're like, "Oh man, fuck that guy," you will sell me out eventually. So now, once again, I'm here to be intellectually consistent. So we call out Joe Biden voters. So we on this show we call out liberals who put Black Lives Matter in their profile pic, but they vote for Joe Biden. And we call them out as hypocrites, right? And I love doing it. That's why my favorite segment to do when I call out the hypocritical liberals. So why when I called the hypocritical Trump supporters, you guys are like, oh my God, you can't just assume all Trump supporters like this. I am not assuming. I am calling you out. I'm calling the Trump supporters out, and I'm flipping them by calling out their inconsistencies. And I explained this earlier. These same people are like, oh my God, I'm gonna form a coalition with you to destroy the U.S. oligarchy. Yes, I vote for Donald Trump. I think you're wrong about Donald Trump. I think he means well, but let's form a coalition to destroy the oligarchy. And I'm like, sir, you gave power to the oligarchy. That's the same argument I made to progressives who vote for Jim Crow Joe. I'm like, how are you going to advocate for shit and then vote for a guy who sold you out? Donald Trump gave the ruling class everything they wanted. He droned more people than Barack Obama did. He sided with Wall Street and was president during a giant transfer of wealth from the workers. So if you voted for Donald Trump, you are selling us out. There was another comment that said, oh, you can't talk shit about Trump supporters. You got to have class solidarity. If you vote for Donald Trump, who is literally doing the bidding of the ruling class, you don't have class solidarity. So, like Fred Hampton said, when he worked with the white racists, or formerly white racists, he demanded them to denounce racism. So that's my stance when it comes to conservatives. If you want to form a coalition with me, you better not vote for fucking Trump.
Right.
I live in Missouri. If you vote for Josh Hawley, I don't want to fuck with you, bro, because no matter what work we do, he's gonna fucking roll that shit back. You're wasting my time. You're wasting everyone's time, and we shouldn't trust you. So that's my stance. I say all the time about Biden supporters. The same thing for Trump and their supporters. Denounce Trump. Denounce the Republican Party. Denounce fucking Ron DeSantis. Denounce the fucking corrupt pieces of shit. And then we can start forming coalitions. And that argument is consistent with my argument I make against Biden bros and progressives who prop him up that you guys love. You guys love when I made the argument for liberals, but then I back Trump supporters. You guys like, you disrupting class solidarity. Like, no, you disrupting class solidarity by voting for Trump instead of third party. So that's my response to that. We can get the super chat unless you got anything else you want to mention.
No, I want to see this super chat. Always enjoyed YouTube. By the way, I'm Chinese now. Forbes and The Economist are saying China's lying about COVID deaths, and they estimate 1.7 million people died instead of 4.6K. I just laughed. They are racist propagandists. I hadn't heard about this particular story in Forbes or Economist. Go ahead, Nick.
I was off on my Saturday show because Saturday was on Christmas and New Year's. I was so busy. So my Saturday show will be back, and we had a great guest. They can probably dive into this. We have Danny Haifong on. The propaganda that has been coming out against China over the last month has been mind blowing. I'm talking about not even just mainstream corporate MSNBC, CNN. I'm talking about Breaking Points, Crystal Ball, Tiger. Like, these people are repeating pro-China, pro-war talking points on Taiwan. These people are fucking crazy. So like, that's what we gotta deal with now. Like, so Donnie Hoffman gonna do a good job breaking that down. The main thing that he discusses is breaking the cognitive dissonance that a lot of people that are pushing war with China, pushing the Cold War with China, the people who are Western chauvinists who believe the United States should be superior. So we didn't learn more about that on Saturday, hopefully. Go ahead, CJ.
The point that you were making about the Trump supporters, what I like to say to Trump supporters is this, because there's always people, I'm a Trump supporter, but I'm not racist. I'm a Trump supporter because the Democrats are so terrible. I get it. Hillary Clinton is so terrible. I can't, bring myself to vote for him. But Donald Trump being your choice as an alternative does not make sense if you're saying you don't like Joe Biden or Hillary Clinton in 2016. To me, that's intellectually inconsistent. You get what I'm saying? So on top of, I'm not gonna say that. So let me tell you this, Nick. Today,
we already demonetized as hell.
Yeah. So today, the reason it's a bunch of things two things I'm like, I'm not gonna say that, and it's you just hit the nail right on the head. I heard some other people get demonetized for saying certain things. I've been reading a couple of articles today, so it's kind of in my head, and I don't want to, push want to push the envelope too much, so that's the reason why I'm going to pull back on that last comment. But let me bring this super chat up again. And I did have a question for you. I know you're going to have Danny on Saturday. I'm going to have him on. I don't know what date yet, but I've already been talking to him about it. My question is, why do you believe there's been an uptick in the propaganda about China? Do you think it has anything to do with China now being the superpower, not the superpower, but I forget what it's called, but China took over the number one spot over the United States, I think in wealth. I can't remember what it was, the exact line. But the point that I'm making, Nick, is do you think, or what do you think is behind the propaganda about China? Like, because it's like, why all of a sudden I would say in the last 2 months, Nick, maybe 4 months, it's like it's been turned up to a fever pitch. And why do you think that is?
War is a racket. So now, once again, Sagar is unbelievably good at marketing himself.
Mm-hmm.
He marketed himself as anti-war and anti-imperialist. But the reality of his politics is that he's anti-bad foreign policy. So with Sagar and what a lot of these right-wing populists who are now like these right-wing populists who claim they're anti-war, they're beating the war drums against China. Like, it's insane. And the reason why I say war is a racket, because to answer your question directly, this is literally just for military budgets. So now you had the Afghanistan war coming to the close. You had the Middle East war, more unpopular than ever. You have people demanding that they end imperialism in South America and Africa. They see China as opportunity as another war to sell, and they're using that as an excuse to boost the power of intelligence communities and expand their cyber warfare capabilities. I covered this on my show a long time ago. Because of Russiagate, and this is why Russiagate was a joke. The whole point of Russiagate was to build up the national security state. That was it. That's it. So they said Donald Trump was weak on Russia. But because of Russiagate, Donald Trump felt the need to be harder against Russia. So he actually expanded the CIA cyber terrorism department. This is something you never heard on TYT. I reported this on my show a long time ago. So he actually gave the CIA power to initiate financial cyber terrorist attacks, and they went after Russian infrastructure. And I remember when CNN reported, they were like, "This is a great thing. U.S. went after Russian oligarchs." And I'm like, "Bro, you guys did a cyber attack. Can you imagine if Russia cyber attacked us?" So that's more funding for the intelligence community apparatus. That was what Russiagate is about. But Russiagate is a joke now. It died. You have even to the point we have Putin and Biden meeting with each other, and they were like, "All right, Russiagate is stupid. Let's fight China. We can sell that. We can sell the war with China more now, right?" So that's what they're doing. And you have Sagar who is pushing that as well, pushing the. They had a poll where they're like, "Should the United States in military?" And I cannot emphasize how crazy this is. They said, "Should the United States military get involved if China invades Taiwan?" I cannot stress how crazy this is, guys. Imagine if there was a poll that said, should China invade the United States because they invaded Puerto Rico? Taiwan is China. That you cannot invade your own country. And even if you could, even if you want to reject that point, which is ridiculous, because Taiwan is China. So that's like saying, oh, you had military troops that was literally watching Black Lives Matter protests. Oh my God, the United States government invaded Baltimore. What? What? So they asked this question. So the framing alone is very, very pro-war. So they said China invade Taiwan. So they already trying to get you like, China's bad. And then I saw people saying 60% of Breaking Point's viewers said yes. Because Crystal Ball and Sagar, despite marketing themselves as anti-imperialists, and Jackson have done a good job exposing these people, they have been subtly, very subtly putting pro-war China propaganda. And they were saying like, oh my God, the Chinese invasion of Taiwan, their own territory, is beyond the pale. Not the United States funding genocides in Yemen. Not the United States literally funding a genocide in Palestine. Which Sagar is a Zionist too, by the way. Like he one of them people that like, oh, I'm not as bad as some Zionists, but I'm still a Zionist. You know what I mean? So, man, there's a lot, and I drag them because there's a lot of people on the left that think they're great. But man, that and Danny Hyphon, we gonna get a lot into this. I was on Danny's show. I was on Jackson's show today. I'll probably bring him on one of my Saturday show. We talk about more about it because he did a comprehensive breakdown detailing like how the breaking points pro China propaganda because the Chinese empire about to dethrone the U.S. empire because the U.S. empire is in decline.
That's what I was at. That's what I was getting to when my question is that they took over as the superpower, or what was the phrase you just used? China became the number one superpower or something.
They're going to become. They're set to become.
Or going to become. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, 90% of people in the. I got this wrong last stream. God damn it! 90% of people in their house own their homes. That's what it is. Last time I said 90% of millennials own their home. That's not the number. It's like 70% of like millennials own their homes in China. 90% of people who are in homes own their home, like the household owns, right? So that is insane. Like that's and China was extremely impoverished, like extreme. Like they were one of the most impoverished because they went from that and they lifted more people out of poverty than any society in human history. And once again, I'm not one of the people that stand states. I'm not saying China's perfect. China got some things about censorship that I don't like. Like they're not a perfect state. But no matter what your criticism of China is, that accomplishment is insanity. Like to lift as many people, the hundreds and hundreds of millions of people out of poverty like they did. The U.S. empire is sweating.
Africa they can see what's happening. They can see it.
Yeah, and we're gonna be covering this a lot in 2022.
What is Dr. Kareem? I'm curious to know he's in China. What is his take? What is his take on all of this? Go ahead.
We don't have Dr. Kareem on this show because I know. Let's do that, man. Because Dr. Kareem, he can explain a lot about what China, and he has educated me a lot, man. You guys should really check out Bet B Media.
Yeah, he's actually he's gonna be coming on my show for the racial stuff. So him, Anthony, and there's another doctor, Michael Rossano.
There it is. That's the number.
Yeah, he's.
You guys know, I know the concept. Sometimes the numbers will lose me, but 850 million lifted out of poverty. You guys understand? There have never been a society in the history of humankind that lifted the percentage of their population out of poverty like this. So this is a direct rebuke of neoliberal capitalism. And remember, the CIA openly admitted the reason why they had to go after socialist government because they do not want people to see a working alternative.
Yes.
And China is giving the world a working alternative that the likes that we have never seen before. To the point where Africa, and I made this last point, I'll pass it to you. Africa, and a lot of liberals saying, oh my God, China is taking advantage of Africa. That is extremely racist because it gives the implication that we somehow not intelligent enough to know
what's going on.
They like black people in Africa. They don't know what's better for them. They're being manipulated by the Chinese. No, if you listen to African leaders, and I listened to a few of their interviews, the reason why they signed on to these deals with China because they want to see the U.S. empire collapse. They said they like we deal with U.S. imperialism, we deal with the U.K. imperialism, Western European imperialism, and that destroyed our country. Then China invested into us, and now we're doing great. So we want to see the United States fall, and we want to see China rise.
Is China communist? I know the answer, but I'm asking you: is China communist?
I don't think it's 100. I don't think it's 100% communist. I'm not gonna pretend I'm 100% qualified. Like that's a good question for Danny Hyphon. But I would say that China do rebuke a ton of U.S. neoliberal capitalist groupthink on how you should handle economy. Like the fact that Chinese people, their housing situation is way different than ours. Like their housing situation would be like right wingers and liberals like, oh my God, these people are fucking communists and socialists. So I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that I can explain the fabric of Chinese.
I was just trying because when earlier you were making the point that they go and do these and fund these schools so that the world doesn't see a good example of socialism. So that's why I was asking, well, what is China? Because we call them communists, but do China call themselves communists?
The ruling class is the Chinese Communist Party.
Gotcha.
So the only thing is, they always debate on like, because guys, when it comes to leftist ideology, this is why you have debate between anarchists, anarcho-communists, anarchists, Marxist-Leninists. Like when you look at communism and leftism, it's not just one simple umbrella. There are a lot of different thoughts. So there is debate on like is China not really a communist country, but then there's some people who argue like, yo, it's in the direction of becoming a communist country because a lot of the market socialism, a lot of socialist policies is the road to China. But once again, I would preface this, guys. I cover a lot of current events. I can analyze like the pro-war aspect that America has pushed on China, but I'm not 100% qualified.
No, but you sound the same as me. You sound the same as me when it comes to China. And let me just tell you what I've heard. What I've heard is that there's never been a communist country because no country has ever been fully communist. You get what I'm saying? Where the people are owning the means of the production, where like nothing has ever been that. So there's never been a true communist country. But like you said, to your point, they're headed that way. That's better assessment, you think?
Yeah, it's also important to point that communism never was defeated. It never failed. It was defeated. So I messed it up.
Not the same thing.
Communism,
not the same thing. Yeah. Defeated and failed is not the same thing. Go ahead.
I gotta repeat. I messed it up. Communism never failed. It was defeated. So when you had a ton of socialist movements who really wanted to implement real communism, that was destroyed by sanctions, the CIA. That was infiltrated. And now U.S. Western empires are extremely scared of what Alex and hopefully you guys can educate us some more in the chat. Is that China is a market socialist economy with a strong central state, and half of all industry is state-owned. So that's a giant rebuke of neoliberal capitalism. So if you guys want to keep educating us, keep doing that. But once again, I am very open. I told you guys I'm trying to learn more about China. That's why I got Dr. Kareem Pratesh. And the reason why, because I don't remember who told me this. Maybe it was Kareem Pratesh. I don't think it was him though. But someone made the good point that, and this is why I started paying attention to China more. Why do you guys know why leftists are talking about China? This is one of the most significant economic developments since the beginning of the Cold War. To have another superpower challenge the United States and do it nationalizing industry, that's something we've never seen before. So we had this long conversation, and that's the answer to CJ's question earlier. Why you see so much anti-China propaganda? That's why. They gotta destroy the only alternative. And let's read some more comments. CJ, I'll pass it to you.
That's all I'm doing. I'm just putting up a couple of comments. I saw this super chat here. Thank you. There have never been a communist country. Communism is the ultimate goal. Even USSR didn't call themselves communist.
Yeah, that was my understanding.
We are socialist countries led by okay. That is a very good explanation, and that's the best, like shortest, best answer, which is right here, which is it's a socialist country led by a communist party.
Yeah, that's a good way.
That is a great way of putting it. Yeah,
that's kind of that's great. Thank you for the comment. Awesome. I don't want to butcher your name, but thank you for the comment there. At this point, we can take questions, and I have a few fun stories because I feel like we covered the serious topics. I always like to cover the serious stuff first, and then at the end of the live stream, we can start having some fun. America is also exploiting Africa. That's the point I was making, guys. And I learned a lot of stuff following the Black Agenda report because they do a lot of good work debunking Chinese propaganda. So the xenophobic, anti-Black position that the pro go to war with China people advocate, both the liberals and conservatives, and they claim that Africa don't know what they're doing. So Africa gets signing up for the Belt and Road Initiative. Cuba just signed on with it as well.
They can do what the hell they want, even if they don't know what they're doing. What kind of hell?
Bro, I'm telling you, CJ, this is what they say, man.
Fascism, they are just rolling fascism out. They're like, we don't give a fuck. We're telling you up front now. That's what they're doing.
and CJ, your reaction was the reaction of the African leaders. Like, fuck you don't tell us what to do, bro. I heard a lot of leaders like, and it wasn't. I still gotta do better with their names. Like I be reading this stuff, but I'm like, I forget their goddamn names. Yeah. But I heard an African leader explain sometime like, bro, we've seen the result of UK imperialism and France imperialism and United States imperialism in Africa. And now we got a country that not only building our society and building our infrastructure, they have forgiven their debt multiple times. So when they like, you got these liberals that claim we're being tricked. Are you claiming that we don't know what we're doing? Are you claiming that we're too stupid to run? That's the the savages trope. Like, oh my god, people are savages. That
right.
So I didn't make that point up. Someone else, once again, I'm sorry, I don't remember who made an argument, but someone mentioned that when you're like, this is what they do. It's actually really anti-black when they say that these Chinese countries, and now, and when I covered this story a long time ago, there was an article, I think in Watchpole or New York Times, when they was covering how they was like, oh my god, China is now getting in South America, and now the South American countries are going to be tricked like the Africans.
Tricked into what? What tricked into? Like, it's so absurd.
We are the most propagandized country in the world, guys. I told you it's every fucking small thing. But CJ, I want you to continue. I'll cut you off a little bit.
No, I was just saying, like tricked into what? Getting my infrastructure fixed? Like, what am I being tricked into? But it goes to the trope. It's almost saying, hey, we want to be the ones that exploit Africa. Get the hell out, get out of here. This is our exploitation land over here. Let us do it. Like, all these white people, all these white nations, and you mentioned it. You said France came over there with their imperialism. The United States came over there with their imperialism. The British came over there with their imperialism. And now China have decided to invest in Africa, invest in the global South. And I think this is the reason for the China propaganda that's going on right now. That's really being ramped up. It's really the United States throwing a tantrum because they're seeing that they're losing their grip. They're seeing it. You get what I'm saying? They can see China is about to take over. And you ever been running a race and you can see this? He about to catch you, and you feel you cannot go any faster, and that person catches you. So it feels like that's what's happening to the United States. It's like they can see China is about to lap them, and they can't do anything about it unless they went to war, unless they start some sort of a conflict, and that still may not even derail China.
So this mini segment just inspired me. I'm gonna get all the. I'm probably gonna dedicate a segment. Maybe when we have Dr. Cream Patesh on here, because I'm gonna find those videos. I find a lot of these videos with the African speakers talk about this, but I don't gotta say. I'm gonna have a segment where I have all these like sources I'm telling you guys, and I'm gonna have like a presentative segment talking about what the response African leaders when it comes to U.S. talking points against China. And once again, you hear progressives say this shit, man. Like this kind of stuff that come from breaking points where they say China is an imperialist country. Saying China is an imperialist country robs all power and what imperialism means. The country that has one military base, 800.
Who are they bombing?
Bro,
who are they bombing? Who are they occupying? What country?
That's why it's the dumbest thing to say. And I'm glad that Real Leftist, this is friend of the show, my friend Didi. How does U.S. versus China spend $1 trillion? U.S. maintains 845 military bases in the world with 90 countries. China built roads, bridges, ports, and power stations around the world. In Africa, in Southeast Asia. And they do it without debt slavery. We literally financed the slavery of child workers in Africa, in the Congo. That's the United States capitalist empire. But you guys want to talk about Chinese imperialism? That is the only argument I have seen. These people who claim China is an imperialist country, these are the people that say China, they're imperialist because they invading their own country. They invading Taiwan. Like, bro, CJ, I'll tell you, I'm in the weeds.
United States cannot invade Puerto Rico. We can't invade Guam. These are our territories. They're a step away from becoming a state. That is similar what the case is with Taiwan. CJ. It is such a joke, Nick. It is such a joke. And I don't understand how people are even falling for this propaganda. Go ahead, Nick.
I just want to make a quick point. CJ, the United States literally took half of Mexico. The United States took half of Mexico, what we know as Arizona, New Mexico, California, Nevada. That was Mexico, guys. We fought a war and we won that land. And then after we stole their land via a war, we then kicked these people out of their land and say you are illegal if you're here. The same Mexicans, like if you cross this border from land that we stole from you, you are illegal, and we will put your kids in a cage. We will separate you from the family. Oh, but go ahead and tell me about China and Taiwan.
Right.
Go ahead and tell me more about that. Why aren't you guys said there's been 100? What Chat, answer this question for me. What year did California become a state? Whatever that year is, I can Google it real quick.
There's like 1856 or something like that. 1856 or 1854 or something like that.
It's not inaccurate to say that there's been a 150-year occupation of California by the United States government. But so you guys are like, China is occupying Taiwan. The United States government has been occupying Nevada, New Mexico, Canada. Motherfucker, we've been illegally occupying this motherfucker for indigenous people for centuries. So do you guys really want to go there?
Right.
Do you guys really want to go there? You guys see, that's just one part of why that's the statement that China is an imperialist country robs the power of what imperialism really is. Do you guys know that the British Empire is responsible for the death of hundreds of millions of Indian people throughout their occupation of India? That's imperialism. So comparing China investing into roads and bridges to that, you're robbing it of all its power.
I think it's propaganda, though. They know that it's not true, but it's propaganda to demonize, just like they demonize communism. If capitalism was great, you would not have to demonize socialism. You would not have to demonize capitalism. You have to talk bad about your opponent because you're terrible. You get what I'm saying? Like, just imagine, you know what I mean? You got a girl that's picking between you and another guy. You know what I mean? Like, you got her picking between you and another guy. You got the muscles, you got the great looks. Are you gonna be tearing down the other guy, Nick? If you got all, you got a great house, you got a great job, you got all this stuff, are you gonna be talking about, look at that other guy, blah blah? You get what? You're not gonna do that. You're not gonna do that. Capitalism does that because capitalism knows that it's terrible for the majority of people. And capitalism knows that communism, socialism, almost every other economic system is better. They know that. The capitalists know this. This is the reason why they have to. This is the reason why they have to demagogue all the stuff that we believe. This is the reason why they have to. Communism is bad. And literally, Nick, I posted this from a TikTok video where this girl was like, she was doing this video. I think you may have seen it. She was like, I hate communism. And then she was like, the other person was like, well, tell me what communism is. She couldn't answer what communism is. Well, communism is China. Communism is Russia. But what is communism? The American population has been propagandized about communism, and they don't really even know what it is at all. That's my take, Nick.
Yeah, that's the rise of anti-intellectualism. This is another good exchange. Once again, this is friend of the show. Once again, these are the leftists I surround myself with that taught me a lot. So this is our boy Rome, our brother. He said, "You Americans don't give a fuck about anyone in China." I'm trying to do Rome. Y'all don't give a fuck about anyone in China. You don't even care about your people here. Clean your own backyard. We lock up the most people in the world. Not to mention all the problems, drone strikes, and regime changes. China is not an enemy. The United States is. Death to America. Once again, that's my Rome.
That was a good Rome. That was a good Rome.
So I just found this. Looking through my old tweets here, but it said this person, they both use horrible totalitarian states repressing and abusing their populations. CJ, I told you, this guy probably watched Breaking Points. So I tell you, bro, I am not giving you guys fringe takes. But these are takes that come from the standard liberal and conservative, and even progressives.
These are like standard talking points about China. And the thing is, people who are propagandized and don't understand that they're easy to spot. And they don't know that they're easy to spot because they don't understand that the opinions that they think are theirs have been given to them. And I can tell you what you're gonna say because you're regurgitating propaganda talking points. That's how I know you've been propagandized. Go ahead, Nick.
So my friend, Forgiving Chief, Ray showed this man death. He said, you point the finger at China to deem it totalitarian, when actually it's the other way around. China is demonized because it challenges U.S. hegemony. I'm probably saying
that's a hard word for me too. I get that word mixed up. I know what word you're talking about.
Yeah, so you guys
hegemony or something.
Yeah, hegemony. So That's exactly what we just broke down. Right? I explained to you guys why this is a threat to the neoliberal capitalist order. That's what my friend Forgive Me is explaining. China has lifted 800 million of its people out of poverty, along with people in Africa and Southeast Asia with no debt slavery. Meanwhile, in America, we are literally funding a genocide in Yemen that is starving people. They can't get medicine because we put sanctions on our medicine. So if you get cancer, if you get any sort of ailment, you're essentially dead. If you're in Iran, if you're in Yemen, that's what we're doing. Meanwhile, China lifting people out of poverty.
Nick, you mentioned sanctions, and we've talked about sanctions many times, but I do want to kind of break down what are sanctions for those that may not be as politically, engaged. What are sanctions? What do America says the sanctions are, and then what actually are sanctions?
All right,
I like the way you explain it. I think it was a long time ago. It was a sanction or something.
We did an entire live stream on International Electric, like 2 hours, just talking about sanctions. So you set me off. This is a great topic, especially the part when you said what the United States says about sanctions.
Right. It's too.
And I'm gonna share you guys this story, right? That will explain and answers the question perfectly. It also sums up liberalism in a nutshell. So you had Joe Biden and his administration. They'll said, me and Anthony Blinken, we're gonna get together, and our administration, we're gonna do an investigation into sanctions. And once again, I did a segment with this with Dr. Asal Rod, and she explains this perfectly. So they said we're gonna do an investigation on sanctions and see if they're working. So when that happened, I literally seen progressives fall for it. They was like, "Oh my God, see Biden, he's doing something that Trump would never do. He's looking at sanctions." What happened during that investigation is a damnation on Biden in the Democratic Party. Do you guys know they looked into sanctions, and after a long investigation where they only invited pro-war people to speak during their committee, they found, after looking into the sanctions that are deadly and destroy people, they say sanctions are effective. They're like, we did an investigation and we found that sanctions are effective and they are a proper way to defend human rights. This happened this year. I'm gonna see if I can find my old tweet. I can do old coverage of it. I tweeted about it a long time ago. So they had fake people. They're like, we're gonna investigate sanctions. They investigated, like, oh, after our investigation, we found that sanctions are a great policy and we're gonna do more of it. Dead serious. So after Nicaragua rejected them and elected the Sandinistas, they said, oh, we're gonna start looking into sanctions into Nicaragua. They said they look into more sanctions to Venezuela. They said they may be looking into more sanctions to Russia. So the Biden and U.S. empire are going straight for sanctions that do not hurt the leaders. It hurts the poor and working class, because sanctions, as designed, they are designed to destroy the quality of life for the workers. It's meant to destroy the quality of life for the peasants and their families. So then the people who not knowing what's going on, and they often are influenced by CIA ops and people who fund counter-revolutionary uprisings against leftist leaders, they come say, oh, look at your leftist government and look at how they failed you. Look at how Putin, how they failed you. Look at Nicolas Maduro, how he failed you. Instead of the sanctions. So they use that to get people to go against their government. So when they did the review, they said this is a great way to promote human rights, because their conclusion was, and here's the crazy part, and I'm going to pull up the tweets, I'll show you guys receipts. The crazy part is they come to the conclusion that starving people and making them desperate to overthrow a leader they deem to be destroying human rights, they said at the end of the day, it gets rid of a leader that is abusing human rights, it's effective, even though they're killing people. It's an end justifying the means. Right. So I'm gonna see. I'll pass it to you, CJ. Give me a second. I'm gonna see if I can find the tweet.
I'm just saying, it's not working for how many years has Cuba been sanctioned? And look at them. They're doing better in the pandemic, as a matter of fact, and they've been sanctioned. And I just want to say this about sanctions, and it is so misleading in corporate media about what sanctions are and what is the purpose of sanctions. Like, there is no discussion that sanctions is preventing medicine from getting to the regular people, not the officials, The officials, the presidents of those countries that we're sanctioning, they're getting food, they're getting medicine, they're getting all of that. The people who have nothing to do, whatever dispute that the United States has with this country, are the ones that's taking the brunt of these sanctions. And we're talking about starving people. We're talking about not providing medicine to people that need it. We're talking about, and then you got embargoes and different things like that. But the point that I'm making, I would view, if I were a country, I would view sanctions as an act of war. That's how I would view sanctions, because if you're depriving or wanting to or attempting to deprive the citizens in my country of food, of medicine, of supplies, of goods, why isn't that an act against the country, an act of aggression against the country, an act of war? That's how I would view it if I was a country. What's your take on that, Nick?
So funny thing is, I couldn't find the source material that I used, but I did find our own segment. I forgot I clipped this out because it's so like there was such a groundbreaking story that no one was covering. No one covered this crazy shit that the Biden administration just did. So I was like, all right, I'm glad I actually did cut this. So I'm gonna show you guys two things. We're not gonna get copyright for this because it's our own channel. So first, I'm gonna show you guys this.
Take this.
The United States sanctions violate human rights and international code of conduct. UN expert says. I'm not gonna go through this whole thing, but the entire world is against U.S. sanctions. When it comes to a vote to lift the embargo from Cuba, for example, do you guys know the only two countries that routinely vote against that? The United States and Israel. When you ask the world is against these fucking sanctions. So this is from our old show. So we're gonna watch ourselves here for a second. I told you guys I covered this on the International Leftist Coalition. I think I got this stopping point because I want to show you guys I want to show the Biden administration guys speak. So I want you guys to hear the investigation. So I give credit to Ossoff here, John Ossoff. He actually presses this Biden administration pro-war goon on sanctions. So check this video out, and I'll let it speak for itself. Let me mute myself, and I'll get you guys reactions when it's finished. 1 second here. These sanctions are effective at starving and devastating millions of people, while state actors. But correct me if I'm wrong, Saul. But you had there was holding hearings. So you said this is your tweet. You said the Biden administration put on a show just to argue that sanctions are an effective tool. There you explain that we've been explaining for the last hour. In reality, sanctions are effective at starving and devastating millions of people, while state actors stay the same. It doesn't matter if it's Republican or Dem. Sanctions are warfare by another name. Now I'm gonna share this video. I'm gonna play this video, and then I'm gonna start with you, Saul. I'm gonna mute my mic real quick, and you can explain what they was doing to get more background, and go into your spill. But I'm gonna.
Mr. Adeyemo, with respect, my time being limited, I may already be over my time. What I'm asking is for you to identify, we're trying to learn lessons here. You've conducted a review of U.S. sanctions policy. You've identified in that review specific success stories. Please, with my remaining time, identify one or two specific examples where U.S. sanctions policy has been ineffective so that the Congress can benefit from the review you've undertaken and deliberate how best to improve the statutes that govern these policies.
Senator, as I said, the review was focused on the idea of us looking into the future as to what we can do to use sanctions going forward. We did not spend time looking at the individual sanctions policies. More than happy to follow up with you and your staff to talk about any of the sanctions programs that you would particularly like to discuss. But our goal of the review was to look at what we could do going forward to make sure that sanctions remain an effective tool. In order to do that, we do need to address the challenges that the review found, which we have clearly articulated both in the report and I've done in my testimony today in order to make sure that going forward this tool is effective.
Yeah, Mr. Adema, we will need to meet in person because the purpose of this hearing is a policy update on the Treasury Department's sanctions policy review. And if we're unable in a public setting to articulate or discuss any specific cases where U.S. sanctions policy has been ineffective beyond generalities, then I think we have more work to do. So I look forward to meeting with you so that we can work together to improve U.S. policy. Thank you.
Before you go, Nick, I just want to make a point. It's not a coincidence that a person is black. That's not a coincidence that they put that person is black. Just wanted to say that.
I'm gonna share Saul's take real quick because she did a good job breaking this down, and I'm gonna break down kind of what we saw in that clip. So I'm gonna just do a little bit more of this here. Wait, hold up, wrong one. I don't even know if you guys understand how ridiculous that was that we just watched. Saul, do you want to give a little background? I have a lot to say, but Saul, you sent that great tweet out highlighting the hypocrisy. There's so much ridiculousness out that clip. But Saul, you want to get some background in case anyone a little bit lost here?
So first, honestly, like, great for Senator Ossoff for actually saying something, right? It does show you that there are members of Congress who are at least a little bit more honest about our policies, and that they actually have the power to question those things publicly so that the public can be informed of what's going on. So hats off to him for doing that. Most of the questions that were asked were non-challenging, right? So if you never challenge what an administration is doing, then nobody ever knows what's going on. So basically, when the Biden administration came in January, they were like, okay, we're going to do this sanctions review. And his constituents, so people who supported him, voted for him, got him into office. What was expected of that sanctions review? I mean, let's put it this way. Ideally, what we would have gotten was a fundamental overhaul of a system that is clearly ineffective, targets innocent people, and basically devastates them, right? That would be an ideal situation. That's ideal. Fine. At the very, very least, what was expected was for humanitarian impacts to be central to the sanctions review, especially in light of the pandemic. This is what we got, okay? So this was in January. It's been 10 months. It took them 10 months. It's a 7-page document. Well, it's 9 pages, but the first page is blue and the last page is blue. So it's 7 pages of text. 10 months got us 7 pages of text that doesn't mention COVID once. Nothing about a pandemic. So we're talking about sanctions in the middle of a pandemic, and this review failed to mention COVID at all. There's one, possibly 2 paragraphs about the humanitarian impact, and that comes somewhere in like page 6 of this sanctions review report. And you heard Adeyemo say himself, we did not look at specific cases. Well, great. Then what was the point of your review? The point of the review, essentially, was to say that sanctions were, oh, look, our sanctions are really good. They're very effective, but we need more multilateral sanctions.
That is the brilliant Assault Rod. This is why you guys should check out the International Leftist Coalition. She's the one who explained this concept to me. And so what they did, they set up this sham investigation into sanctions to essentially say, we got to have more unilateral sanctions. We got to have more targeted sanctions, which is not a real thing. And as Assault said, I actually forgot this detail. Assault mentioned how during the entire 7-page report, there was only 2 paragraphs on the humanitarian impact of sanctions. And there was no mention of COVID in the sanctions on Iran. Iran was devastated because of the sanctions that were put that limited their medical supplies. The hospitals were Iran, like they were destroyed by COVID because of U.S. sanctions. So how do you do a sanctions review and you don't mention COVID and your guys' horrific policies that you guys put in place that destroyed the global south and a lot of countries that you're sanctioning? But CJ, any thoughts? I want to show you guys that because that is probably one of the craziest things the Biden administration has done, and that's why you see them continue to ramp up sanctions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do have a couple of things. One, I just want to reiterate the point. It is not a coincidence that the person they chose to go in front of Congress talking about sanctions is a black person. That is not a coincidence.
Lloyd Austin, he's the defense secretary. He's a black man. Go ahead. I just want to add that.
Right. So, I mean, because sanctions are very imperialistic, they're very racist. So, if you have a black person delivering the message, what does that do? That softens the racism. This is why Fox does this all the time. They want to come in and have somebody talk about Black Lives Matter, bring a black person on to critique Black Lives Matter. You know what I'm saying? Like they're trying not to seem racist, and that's why he was in this position too. You're trying not to seem racist by putting a person of color as the face, but the person of color has the same thinking, the same ideology as the white male supremacy has, right? So that, that's the first thing I have to say.
Oh yeah, I want to add his
that.
comment. I want to add his comment too, because he's that Lloyd Austin
Yes,
guy,
he is.
the Black Defense Secretary. He's from Raytheon.
Yes.
The corruption is right in front of your face.
This is why I say American corruption is not hidden at all. It's directly in front of your face, and they just use words to soften it and sugarcoat it. They use words like lobbying instead of bribes. They use words like donations instead of bribes. Like, so this is what is done. Now back to sanctions. What this interview tells me is that they had no intentions at all in divulging any sort of detail about the sanctions at all to them, because these people are some of the smartest people book-wise. All of them are Ivy League. Literally, all of them are from Yale or from Harvard. So you're trying to tell me this person comes in knowing what he's coming in for, unprepared. You're doing a review, but you don't study any specific sanction. Fuck you. That's what I say to that. Because you're basically telling me you full of shit and you ain't changing shit. I have a problem with this guy being black because I don't give a fuck how much money you're paying me. You're not paying me enough to go be the face of imperialism and white male supremacy. You're not paying me enough to do that shit. And that's essentially what this person is doing. You're not answering the questions about sanctions. You don't have any details about sanctions. You got 2 paragraphs in a 7-page report on the humanitarian effects of these sanctions.
The point you're making is so powerful, CJ, because this is a point. I was on Jimmy Dore show and I made this point. Why do you think? And this was around the time Colin Powell died. Colin Powell, the first black Secretary of State. The first black Secretary of State is one of the most violent war criminals in modern human history, responsible for the death of millions of people in the Middle East. Not just at his time as Secretary of State, but at the time as foreign policy advisors in the 90s. This guy is responsible for so much death and destruction. But he has the honor of being the first black Secretary of State. Eric Holder, Wall Street goon who sold out black families, and he was appointed Attorney General by Barack Obama because his job was to protect Wall Street during the financial crash, which he did. Eric Holder played a role in negotiating and not prosecuting Wall Street bankers. That was his role as Attorney General. And it was revealed by WikiLeaks that he was picked by Wall Street to Obama so he can protect them because they knew the Wall Street crash. People was going to try to eat the rich and prosecute him. That was the first black Attorney General. So what is the pattern that you see? The first black Attorney General, the first black Secretary of State. Now we got our first black Defense Secretary, who's a Raytheon board member. That's why I love you brought this up point, CJ. Because Dr. W.B. Du Bois wrote about this. I'll share this quote 1,000 times, so let me say it again. But the system is smart. They know that hiring Negroes and giving them their way out of oppression is joining the force of oppression.
That individual person. Just make sure people understand their way out. They don't mean all black people, just that individual person. Go ahead.
Yeah, and Colin Powell even had a quote where he actually gave up the game. And the Republican Party is so much in the bubble. This is pre-Trump. He said this, and they didn't see anything wrong with it. They were like, hell yeah, this is how things should be. Colin Powell, being the right-winger he is, he was giving a speech about how in America, black people actually do have opportunities. And people who claim that black people don't have opportunity in this country, they are just whiny leftists. Like, this is Colin Powell, guys. This is the guy that was eulogized by the Democratic Party. So he said, the evidence of this is me. Look how I'm a black man who got out of the system because I joined the intelligence community. I work with intelligence community reports. I work on pro-war. I work on and all this stuff, right? So he said the best way, and he was giving advice. Like he was saying, is like, yo, this is how things work. He said, if you're black in this country, the best thing you can do is join the military or become a cop. He said it out loud, CJ.
Oh my God.
So that's literally it. That's why you got black people there. But I want to get your thoughts.
No, but I mean, in a sense, he's right. You join.
He is right.
Your oppressor. I mean, in a sense, he's right. But it's like I would take that as a critique of the system, not as advice. You get what I'm saying? So he's right in the sense of the critique, but this shouldn't be advice. He's basically saying, become a house nigga, and you'll be quite all right if you become a house nigga. That's basically what he's saying.
It wasn't only advice. The point of what he was saying was shoo-shooing the idea of people saying that black people have it hard in America. Mm-hmm. So do you guys know how gross that is? So in response to black people having it hard in America, he was like, get over it. Just become a cop. Mm-hmm. Exploit your community.
This is the black bourgeoisie. This is the black bourgeoisie class, not just him. It's black bourgeoisie class can seize black freedom as their own freedom, meaning they have made money. That means all black people are free. All black people can do this because they have done it. They don't have any idea, or they have failed to reflect that a white person has given you the opportunity to make this money because they're making more money off of you than you're making. Fucking idiot. So don't think you are them. They're only allowing you to be part of the black bourgeoisie because your fucking ass is making them more money than you are making. It doesn't make it. This is why when people talk about athletes, for example, Nick, oh, they're getting paid this, LeBron's getting paid that. Do you understand if LeBron's making $54 million this year, you know how much the person who's paying them is making? Go ahead.
When I hear, and this is something I disagree with a lot. I disagree with a lot of people on the left about when I see them attack the wealth of like black athletes. Very convenient. Soon we get black people get money, y'all want to attack them. Do you guys understand that pro sports, as we know it, like when it comes to the NBA, when it comes to Floyd Mayweather, I used to hear people say Floyd Mayweather is overpaid. No, Floyd Mayweather is the ideal scenario for a worker. Like, because the reason why Floyd Mayweather made so much money because he brought in a ton of revenue and he took a large percent of the revenue. So he's literally being paid his fair worker value.
Right.
So what?
But in capitalism, your fair worker value is overpay in capitalism. That is overpayment in capitalism. Go ahead, Nick. Sorry.
Yes. No. Perfect. No. So pro athletes are not overpaid. Pro athletes are probably the only workers in America that are paid proportionately correct. So this is why I say I disagree with some leftists. I do see some anti-capitalists. They say eat the rich, including pro athletes. I'm like, no, I don't. They are workers being paid their fair value. We want workers to be paid the way pro athletes are. And I would love to hear put back in the chat on this because I don't think leftist thought is monolithic on this.
Well, because Nick, people need to understand there's a difference between being rich and being wealthy.
Yeah.
The Johnson & Johnson family, generational wealth. The Kraft family who owns the Patriot, generational wealth. That's pennies to what LeBron has. You understand? Like, so you can't, what I'm saying is, I don't know if you're saying this. Yeah, LeBron is a millionaire. He has lots of money, right? But the people who are paying him, if they're able to afford that, how much are they making? And if these people are able, like, so for example, let's take some of the athletes that have made the most money. Tiger Woods.
Look at that comment.
What's that? As Crick Rock says, Shaq is Rick, the man who signed. Exactly. That's where I'm getting at. I love Chris Rock. He always is able to just put it in a couple of words, but that is exactly the point I'm making. Rich, Shaq is rich. LeBron is rich. The man who pays his check is wealthy. That's different. Now, that's not to say that, people who are making all this money. They are the black bourgeoisie, and we do have a critique of them. They do love Barack Obama, and we hate his guts. So there is, that's another conversation. But the point that I'm making, I think, as Nick is making, is that this is worlds apart, like worlds apart. Like Bloomberg money and LeBron money are not close. Like that's worlds apart.
Yeah,
so
people need to be serious. Like, damn it, I forgot it again. I'm pretty sure I can Google it, but I shared this analogy before. Like, fuck. I'm trying to think. Like, it's like if 1 second passed. Fuck, I gotta Google it. But anyway,
no, that happens when I'm talking, because the same thing. I'll be having that point, you talking, I'm like, damn, I forgot it.
Right in my head, but I forgot it. Like, do you guys know? I asked in the chat for help again. Like, do you guys know that analogy for like if you took like, let me see if I can find it. But it's like 13 days. Fuck. Oh, I got another one. Since I forgot that one, I do have another analogy for y'all. I heard about to illustrate the gap in wealth between someone like LeBron James, who is the best paid NBA player as far as I know in history, right? So I fucked the last data, but I do know this one. So take LeBron, where he makes the most money per year that he ever made. Do you guys know in order for him to pass Jeff Bezos in wealth, he has to play basketball in his prime at the top of his contract for over 500 years. The most well one
I saw that. Did you tweet that out? I think I saw you tweet that out.
I maybe retweeted it, but
I saw that.
Here it is. At least people know what I was talking about. But then I gotta memorize this. God damn it, Nick. 1 million seconds is 13 days. 1 billion seconds is 37 years.
That is the difference. Worlds apart. 1 million seconds, 13 days. 1 billion seconds, 37 years. And this is an explanation of why we don't necessarily, I'm not going to say for sure, place rich athletes or rich regular people into the same category as the Jeff Bezos, as the Bill Gates. Go ahead, Nick.
I would criticize, and LeBron doesn't criticize. Jordan get criticized.
Oh, I have a bunch of criticism for Michael Jordan
for their practices selling shoes and merchandise using slave labor, and Michael Jordan inflating his shoes to ridiculous prices, knowing that they are marketed to the black community who is low income. That's why I dislike them. There's a lot of reasons why I dislike like the black bourgeoisie, black athlete in capitalist class. Their pay is not that though. That's the point.
Right. So the pay isn't the reason. It's other things. Yeah.
There's the other things. Like Michael Jordan deserved to be rich as fuck for what he did in the NBA. But his business practices is really fucked up. Really fucked up.
That's what happens when you're learning from your oppressor to oppress like other people. And this is people like Michael Jordan, people like Oprah, I have a real disdain for, in particular, Oprah Winfrey. It's because you know the state of Black America and you know the power that you have, but you're not willing to put yourself out there because you want to save you instead of saving the whole community. Like I have no fucking you don't understand. If all rich, wealthy black bourgeoisie just came together, do you understand black people wouldn't be in this state? If when Oprah was on TV signing $1 billion contracts, if she said, I ain't signing shit until you do this for black people, do you know that would have gotten done? Do you know if the NBA didn't play last year and Obama didn't come in, and let's say the NBA went on strike, do you know the owners? You know NBC, ESPN, Disney will start calling them up about day 13. Hey, we ain't getting no money. This strike needs to end. So whatever you need to do, owner, you do. And they would have called Congress. Get fucking shit done. And it would have got done. This is why I don't have no fucking sympathy for people like Michael Jordan, for Oprah Winfrey. Fuck them. Because they alone can help the black community. They alone.
CJ, I'm asking you this question. Look at this comment here. Imagine this wealth in our community. Oprah has close to 4 billion. Jay-Z at 900 million.
Almost a billion, yeah.
Jordan near 10 billion?
Jordan has been a billionaire for a while.
Yeah. So Once again, just imagine this stuff in our community. I said before, imagine that we have all these black oligarchs. Once again, $10 billion.
Right.
You know, you can end homelessness in this entire country for 20. So Jordan can take a fraction of his wealth, invest it in homeless communities. You guys know black Americans are 40% of the homeless population, despite us being 13% of the overall population. So the homelessness problem is a black problem.
Right.
So we have a black bourgeoisie who could end black homelessness at a snap of a finger, but they choose not to.
Because they choose to be class solidarity.
Yeah.
This is where we're talking about a black bourgeoisie. Maybe W.B. Du Bois talks about this. Black bourgeoisie will always, or seem to always, pick their class, their new class, over their race, over their ethnicity. And I haven't seen one that's like a Susan Sarandon, for example, like that's out there like that. Maybe Danny Glover is kind of similar to that. Maybe, you know, Danny Glover is kind of similar to that. But I'm just saying, Tiger Woods, billionaire, like billions. Tiger Woods, Mayweather, Jordan, those are like the richest, and then LeBron. Those are like the richest in all of sports, Nick. All sports. There's like 4 or 5 people that is approaching or have made $1 billion from sports. Jordan, Tiger, LeBron is approaching that, and Jordan, Tiger, there's some. Oh, Mayweather is the other one, approaching $1 billion. And you mean to tell me y'all can't donate $100 million each? Y'all can't put together a $500 million pot of money, mutual aid pot that black Americans or people of color can pull from? Like you can't do anything. You can't invest. Like white people are buying, or these corporations are buying up Harlem to gentrify. Why aren't your fucking ass buying up Harlem? Why?
That's a great point. I'm gonna end up. I got one more quick funny story. I know we're going long, but this segment shouldn't take long. I do want to read this comment because this is a continuation of what we said, and I also have something I want to share with you guys just to blow your mind even more, just to let you guys know how capitalism is broken. So Marco added on to what we were saying earlier. So 1 million seconds is 12 days. 1 billion seconds is 31 years. 1 trillion seconds is 31,000 years. 31,688 years. Isn't that as long as humans in society?
Well, that's Bezos approaching is approaching that.
Yeah, CJ, I want to get your thoughts too, because I want to share this in response to that comment. So now you know how much a trillion is. Billionaires have made 3.9 trillion during the pandemic. And this article was written last year because I couldn't find anything new or quick. I'll pull this up quickly. So as of literally last year, this number is way higher than now. So as of January 2021, billionaires have made $3.9 trillion during the pandemic. Now let's go back to this comment. 3.9 trillion.
Oh, wow. You know how many years that would equal? That's basically 4 times that. So you're talking about something like 120,000 years more. Yes.
That's the last part I want to share, just to blow you guys' mind, to know why we got to start this class war right now. So this is my last funny. This is a quick segment. I know we went really long today, but I want to get you guys' response to this. I definitely want to see CJ. I want to see CJ's reaction to this because I know CJ is literally on Twitter. So this is a Twitter story. Because you guys know who Sally Albright is?
Mm-hmm.
Sally Albright is a Hillary Clinton stan who ran a troll farm. She ran a troll farm, and she was known as one of the most unhinged, anti-Bernie Sanders, anti-socialist people in public discourse. Like I'm including Republicans in this. Like the amount that she hates Bernie Sanders, the amount that she hates socialists, is easily rivals the most unhinged, anti-communist, anti-socialist right-winger. Right? That what she was. She was banned on Twitter for harassing Bernie supporters, doxing Bernie supporters. Like, she is probably one of the most evil people you would meet. Do you guys want to know what she tweet? And I'm showing you guys this tweet because I want to show you guys that the red-blue game is a cult. We are living under mass psychosis, not just because of COVID reaction. We live under mass psychosis because we got a giant percentage of the population, half of the population, worship either fucking the blue MAGA, the Democratic Party, or Trump is their daddy. Trump can't do anything wrong. Everything Trump say is amazing. Trump is great.
Mhm.
You guys see how our society has been
Psychosis.
psychosis to the point where we are cults. So the reason why I'm sharing is I can't wait to see CJ reaction to this. So this is what Sally Albright tweeted out. And I want to show you guys the mindset of the shit lib. So this is one of her new accounts. The reason I know this is because someone told me. Like, I got a lot of sources. Someone told me this is one of her new accounts. So repeat after me. I'm not smarter than Joe Biden. I'm not smarter than Kamala Harris. I'm not smarter than Nancy Pelosi. I'm not smarter than James Carville. But if I stand back and I watch and I learn, I will be smarter than I am.
This is a parody account, man. This is a parody account. I'm not smarter than Joe Biden.
No, look, this is my response. I said, please tell me that. This is my retweet. In response, I said, please tell me it's a parody account. and this is my friend. I trust her. Like, I know Bernie DeVette for a long time. And she claps with Sally Albright a lot. So she's like, yo, this is Sally Albright. So if you guys can correct me on that, but yeah, this is, and I have people share receipts. Like,
well, how many people follows that account? Like, does she have a lot of followers? That can
I don't know. Like, they all blocked me. Sally.
Oh, they got you blocked.
Yeah, I only get screenshots of it. Like, I will pull up the tweet, but I literally only can.
But you're blocked.
Yeah, so once again, this is a fun segment. Do you guys see the mindset of liberal?
Pull that tweet back up there, Nick. That is some ridiculousness right here. I am not smarter than.
I love reading it. I love reading out loud.
Yeah, but that last one, Nick. James Carville is a freaking nut.
Oh, dude,
he's terrible. Like a unapologetic hack. And I'm not smarter than James Carville.
But if I stand back and watch and learn, I will be smarter than I am. So this is hilarious. And this is an important case study. I know this is a silly story. I know this is silly. But you guys see that there's a takeaway to this, right? Do you guys see it? This is the cult that is developing around both parties. Because you guys don't think Donald Trump supporters feel the same way about Trump? They literally think that Trump is some super genius that's better than them. Nobody in the ruling class is better than you. This is classism of the highest order. So when Sally Albright, the wealthy, well-connected shit lib, says this, she's not just saying I. When she says this, she said, you are not smarter than Joe Biden. You are not smarter than Kamala Harris. You are not smarter than Nancy Pelosi. Why aren't you? Now probe into this. Why don't she think you are smarter than them? You can be a working class person who's a teacher, electrician, who's amazing at your field. But the liberal class and Sally Albright believes that if you're wealthy, if you're rich, if you're the ruling class, you are inherently better, smarter, and more qualified than the poor. Now you see why they hated Forced to Vote. Now you see why they hated Medicare for All March, because we are the filthy peasants. We're supposed to fall in line behind the smart Democrats. So you guys see, I always love to cover goofy shit and funny shit, but there's a point to this. The Democrat Party is a cult. This is what they really believe. But CJ, what's your thoughts on this?
My thoughts on this is it literally sounds like a cult. Like, look at that sentence. It's like, just imagine being at a cult meeting. Hey, Democrats United, everybody meeting to order. Repeat after me. I am not smarter than Joe Biden. And everybody repeats it. I am not smarter than Joe Biden. Just imagine that. Like, that's literally like cult word. Like,
during their cult meeting, they see that guy who's not really saying it. Like, he made murder this. Hey, say it. Hey, we think we got non-believer.
Yeah, I know.
And remember, we covered this on our roundtable with Trevor Noah, when he stepped online with the vaccine talking points,
with his comments,
and look how quick they turn against them. Look how quick they turn against Bill Maher. That's what I'm talking about. They stepped out line. They forgot Anthony Fauci. He is science. And don't question Anthony Fauci. Don't question our leaders. You see how their approach is quite literally the exact opposite of ours. Right. Our approach is bottom up, worker-based movements. Sally Albright says you gotta trust Joe Biden. You gotta trust Kamala Harris. The people who hated Force to Vote, once again, we're on the 1 year anniversary of Force to Vote. The people who hated Force to Vote hated the fact that activists took charge. They wanted us to shut up and trust Bernie Sanders in their plan. They want us to trust the plan of Justice Democrats. Do you see the difference of our strategy and why to say anyone who supports that shit is not left infighting if we call it out? Because any mindset that is top down, I do no longer view it as a leftist idea. That's what my development brought me. So that's my last funny segment. I know we went long. This was a fun life.
Yeah.
Any last words, CJ?
Yeah, I do. I mean, because the title, I mean, not the title, but we weren't supposed to talk about Force to Vote. So I just want to give, a couple of lines before we sign off here. Yeah. Force to Vote. A year ago, we didn't force to vote on Nancy Pelosi, or the squad or progressive did not force to vote on Nancy Pelosi. She was elected, and now she's back in office doing all of her insider trading. So what I have to say about force to vote, I hope that AOC and the squad is reflecting back and saying, if we had to do it again, we would have forced a vote on Nancy Pelosi. I mean, I'm hoping, especially after seeing the bill that they wanted to go through, Joe Manchin just tanked. Especially after seeing Joe Biden lie to them and say, hey, yes, believe in me. Go ahead, vote for this, and we're going to bring this other bill up. Like, after all of that happening, I still don't think the squad, we even now reflect back and say we should have forced the vote. At least we would have got this. At least we would have got that. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't think they will. What's your take on that?
Yeah. So I was just on Jackson's stream. I talk about the implications of the post Force to Vote era, and I remember when Force to Vote happened, and there are a lot of people who want you to shut up about it. Like, I see people like, oh my God, you guys still talk about Force to Vote. People are like, why you guys always talk about Force to Vote? I see the people who are guilty of being wrong. Like, they're the ones who want people to stop talking about it. Like, the people who was the ones who advocated for voting for Nancy Pelosi, they're the ones who don't want us to talk about this no more. The reason why I talk about it, and the reason why I think it's significant, this was a giant moment in the left movement, no matter how you feel about it. Because I mentioned earlier on, when I was on Jackson's stream, we look at the Bernie movement. When you look at the giant crowds, when you see the fact that Bernie had 40% around the Democratic electorate in the primary vote, we made a mistake of thinking that our movement was bigger than it really was. Our movement was mixed with shit libs. And honestly, it even caught me off a little bit, the amount of people who wasn't really anti-establishment leftists that was in the movement, like the Chuck Rokas, the Pramila Jayapals. These are the people that say you should take it easy on Joe Biden. These are the people who say that Bernie should drop out. These people didn't give a fuck. These people did not give a fuck. So Force to Vote was the first schism, the first major schism that showed that there are people after Bernie Sanders dropped out that they like, all right, I'm gonna shift and go further to the left, and I'm gonna continue to fight the state. And then there's the people who like, the only reason I even supported Bernie is because that was the best option I had, but I don't want to shake things up too much. You know, I don't want to vote for Joe Biden. I don't want to have trouble. There was a big split that has been revealed because of Force to Vote. And when I said that it was a significant moment, even at the time, I didn't realize how much of a precursor Force to Vote will become. When I say that, the reason why I've been preaching about CIA leftist infiltration talking points, tactics, I should say, like I did on Jackson Hinkle's stream today, is because my viral tweet I tweeted out. I tweeted in January when I went over the CIA talking points. Why you guys think I tweeted out in January? Let's see if I can find it real quick. I tweeted out in January because this is when the whole Force to Vote shit was going on. And I saw everyone fall for this shit. And I was like, bro, I'm literally seeing the CIA talking points in real time again. And guys, do you have any idea how many people reached out to me and told me, holy shit, everything that happened over the last year with the boutique left, everything makes sense now when they saw that list. So my point is, we got to acknowledge the same way we go after liberals who go against our community because they support Joe Biden and the neoliberals, the same way we go after conservatives because they go against healthcare. If you are a progressive and you chose the career over Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez over fighting for healthcare for our people and creating a national dialogue, there's a point in time, and a lot of people have a hard time saying this, but I don't. You're not an ally. You are not an ally. And And once again, I was involved in the discourse of this, and I heard the debate between Sam Cedar and Brown Joy Gray. And Brown Joy Gray destroyed my man. Destroyed the man, Sam Cedar. Not my man. Fuck that guy. Sam Cedar. Because Sam Cedar, he made an argument during First to Vote that it's too risky to create a national debate about healthcare in the middle of a pandemic. That's too risky because it may hurt AOC's career. It may make it so the Democrats attack them. Their argument for not forcing the vote, well, it will hurt the careers of politicians. If you think these people are on your side and they care about politicians more than your community, I don't know what to tell you. And
Nick,
go ahead, CJ.
No, what I was saying, I think what this is revealing, this is all really new left, old left. This is really what this, to me, this divide is. But what to me this is revealing, Nick, about a lot of our white leftist policy comrades. Now I say policy comrades, meaning they espouse the same thing. What I think we're finding out, they don't quite believe in the things that they say they believe in. They want to feel like they're the most progressive, so they'll say it. But when you say, hey, let's go ahead and implement it, it's, oh, hold on. Not there yet, because their lives don't need it. Their lives are okay. Right? And Sam Cedar, I think he's, to me, like pre-Michael Brooks dying, Sam Cedar has been the worst leftist in the media sphere ever. Like, he's been terrible, always terrible. The only reason I was even able to stomach the Majority Report when it was on is because Michael Brooks and another guest was on. If Sam Cedar talked, lower the volume because he's a fucking idiot. It's because, so people like Sam Cedar, people like Emma, people like TYT, who want to espouse, I'm progressive, I'm the leftist, I believe in humanity. Well, let's go over here and do these things to get that. Well, that's going to fuck up my already good life if I do that. So no, thank you. You get what I'm saying? So now I have to just talk bad about what you're doing because I don't want to do it. But in order for me not to look like a total piece of shit, like I don't really believe in this, I have to talk down about what you're doing. And that's the reason why I'm not doing it, because what you're doing is terrible. Your forced to vote is awful. That's why I'm not doing it. Not because I'm terrible and I don't really believe in what I'm saying. It's because what you're doing is terrible. And I think that is, and it happened with the General Strike Summit. It's attack them because they're clearly doing more than what I'm doing and what I claim to be to my audience. So I need to disparage them. And that's what I think.
Well said. And once again, I told you guys, Forced to Vote was the precursor. Every tactic they use on Forced to Vote to delegitimize it, they used on the March for Medicare for All, and they used it against the General Strike Summit. When they did it with the General Strike Summit, I remember I had a conversation with Savvy about this. It was almost surreal because I'm like, bro, I literally just watched you guys do this on Forced to Vote. I literally watched you guys do this on the March for Medicare for All, and you guys doing it again on the General Strike Summit. When the Forced to Vote thing happened, they were like red, brown lines. When Forced to Vote happened, they were like red, brown lines. We did General Strike Summit. They said red, brown lines. How dare you have union leaders? But anyway, my point is these people are not serious. Sam Cedar, I saw some people, the comments are roasting him now. But yeah, I never understood him, to be honest. But he is probably definitely the worst. I think maybe he's worse than Jank. I think Jank is more cringe. But Sam Cedar literally has an MSNBC contract. He really is on Peacock. Like, do you guys know who's that guy? Hayes. Hayes, that dude from MSNBC.
Oh yeah, Chris Hayes. Yeah, Chris Hayes.
When Chris Hayes took a vacation, Sam Cedar filled in for him. Bro, if MSNBC anchor had took a vacation, what are the chances that they will ask anyone, not even on this network, but the fear of this network, anyone who's been anywhere near this network, will we ever be asked to MSNBC?
Right. No.
The question that Cedar fans got to ask themselves, why does he get that call? that no one else who's actually
Right.
anti-capitalist and anti-imperialist would never get that call.
Right.
Can you
What is he
imagine-
saying? What is he saying or not saying that MSNBC is okay with that they would invite him on?
that they
You
will
get-
retweet him? Like once again, these are like if you look at the orbital of people he's around, shit lives retweet him. The blue checks that hate me because I'm too radical, they love him. MSNBC gets him contracts. So what? Obviously, you're not scary. There's obviously something you're doing that's right. You're obviously doing something right. Like, why do you think we got our Patreon in the description? We need a community in order to support our content. Because the chances of any motherfuckers want to support us is slim to nil. We're way too radical. Way too radical, right? So Sam Cedar get those offers. And that's to reflect on his politics, right?
Yeah, I don't know who's watching the Majority Report at this point. Like, I literally don't understand. Like, I don't see clips of it. I don't hear anybody like reference it. Like, I literally don't know
Bro,
who's even watching it anymore.
Can you imagine a conversation with Joy-Ann Reid? Hell, let's say Joy-Ann Reid with a Finney. I'm not even gonna put myself in there. I'm not even gonna throw myself in the hat. Imagine a Finney and Joy-Ann Reid. Imagine Sabby Sabs. I want to see two black women.
No. Joy, I mean, you already know my feeling on Joy-Ann Reid. She's her, but she's one of the people. Like, remember the person I was telling you about? He's black. He's not a coincidence that he's black. People like, Dr. Jason Johnson, Joy-Ann Reid, even Don Lemon. They're just literally just a blackface, just regurgitating white male power structure talking points. And people of color who are willing to take a check to sell out their community, like, I don't have respect for that. I just don't. And in fact, those types of people get under my skin more than racists. Like, black people doing bad to black people gets under my skin more than the KKK. Because you know what it's like to be black. This is the reason why like Michael Jordan and Oprah Winfrey in particular, she grew up in poverty. Like, poverty. You know, when black people say the word twice, it just means very. Okay, so when I say poverty just means very poor. Just translating for you. So people like Oprah, even Michael Jordan grew up poor. They grow up poor, and then they begin to emulate the same oppressor, the same white oppressor when they were poor. And that's my problem. I can't imagine, Nick. I can't imagine having a couple of $1 billion and I don't spend $1.750 billion on people. I can't even see that. I can't see that. I'm taking my money. I'm going down. I'm taking everybody off Skid Row and putting them and housing them. You get it? Why don't we have? I know I'm going on a tangent, but why don't we have billionaires and millionaires who are willing to do this? Like, you're literally not. Jeff Bezos has 100 and some odd. He can spend $3 billion. He is not even gonna even see that. You get what I'm saying? Like, why aren't you not helping people with the resources you have? That is so bizarre to me. And I know I went on a tangent. I went off topic, but that can be the final comment before we go if you want, or unless you want to.
Yeah, so this is my last thought, and then we wrap up. So what you said was so on point, and I can 100%. I think a lot of young black people can relate when you say the black person that sell your community. That's worse than the open racists, and they've been the number one threat to our community because they choose to side with white supremacy over our community. They sell us out. Mm-hmm. So when I talk to black people, and I talk to many, especially a lot of my kin about Barack Obama, luckily for me, I did not have shit-lived family members. like a lot of people who liked Obama, they thought he was good because they just fell for the propaganda. But as soon as I told them, they're like, "Oh man, fuck that nigga then." You know what I mean? That's how my people are. I'm lucky.
Right.
So I told you one of the things I told these people. I remember I talked to my dad about this a long time ago. I'm like, and then people always say, how can you hate Obama? He was our first black president. How can you tear down our first black president? And I'm like, guys, I hate him because he was our first black president. because he was the black guy who sold us out. How is that not more damnable than when you had a white Bill Clinton and Joe Biden?
Right.
They were playing politics for their community.
Right.
And as you said, these people, like
Right.
Oprah, for example, these people grow up broke. So I got to stay for them because they openly choose to sell us out. But go ahead, CJ.
No, I was going to say Obama, the most powerful man on the planet, did nothing for black people, you fucking piece of shit. How are you black? You are the most powerful person on the planet. You do nothing.
In fact, all they care about was they cared about the white suburban votes because they didn't want to lose those. Their strategy was very malicious, and this is one of the things I was like, all right, I'm done with Democrats forever. The Democrats saw that black people were loyal to Obama and they're loyal to Democrats. They vote for them at around an 80% rate when they do go to vote, at least among the black voters, I should say. So when they see that you as a community will vote for them at an 85 or 90% rate, why would they do anything to appease you? Right. So since they are battling for the white bourgeoisie suburban vote, what was Obama's strategy? They picked Joe Biden as vice president, one of the most conservative Democrats, because the message, the political message to the white suburbanites was, hey, I'm the first black president, but I still got you, bro. Why didn't he put a black radical as vice president? Why wasn't there no discussion about reparations? His response, and I covered this a long time ago, I'll never forget, maybe I got to do a new segment on this, right? He was asked about the plight of young black people, and his response was, black people need to stop listening to rap music. They need to pull up their pants. Not that we have a police state that's stealing wealth from us. CJ, we probably
that sounds like a response from a white person that doesn't know a black person at all. To me.
All right, here we go. I'm announcing right now. Next week we're gonna do a segment. I'm gonna bring that old segment back. I'm gonna do the segment again, and I gotta find the clip. And we running late now, so next week I'm gonna do a segment where I show the video clip where Barack Obama literally repeats the talking points of Rush Limbaugh and Bill Cosby. Because I saw someone say, wasn't that Bill Cosby? Yeah, it was. But Barack Obama literally gave a speech where he did the same thing, where he said the reason why black people are struggling is not because of civil asset forfeiture and not because of Wall Street illegally crashing our wealth by putting us in fraudulent contracts with our homes and our mortgages. It's not that. It's because we don't pull our pants up. It's because of rap music, because of violent. Like, he said that, and this is one of the things he said during the campaign. I didn't even know. Like, when I liked Obama, I didn't know a lot of stuff I knew. If I knew some of the shit I know now, even back then, like, what? Nigga, what? Anyway, I'm going on another tangent.
Yeah, let's wrap up. Let's wrap up. Yeah, we went on a long time. Last words would be next week. Make sure you tune in again. Hopefully we'll have, I think Nick Black in the Empire, I think he said he might be available next Monday, cool. So maybe we'll have him on.
I want his reaction to that clip too. I
like Daryl.
I did that segment a long time ago on my old channel, so I'll do it again for the Revolutionary Blackout. Right. So how Barack Obama was in a lot of ways was social conservative as well. Remember, he ran against gay marriage. By the way, guys.
I know, and I did an interview with Margaret Kimberly from the Black Agenda Report, and it was all about Obama. So I may have to revisit that because she broke it down. She broke it down about him really good in that. So check that out. But I will be on Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern for Straight Out of Politics. I am going to be starting a couple of new shows. Actually, the network, we're going to be doing a bunch of new shows. So look for that over the next couple of weeks. We will be planning another summit, not necessarily a general strike summit. I think we want to do some sort of international summit. We will be announcing that. So that's on the horizon. I'm just trying to give everybody a little bit of what's upcoming. Of course, website we had one, but with the change, we're going to do another website. So that's forthcoming. We got our Patreon up. We're going to get more content on our Rockfin for those who have Rockfin. Thank for all your support, but we're going to get more content to you on that platform. That's all I got, Nick. What do you have, sir, before we sign off?
So check us out tomorrow on JB's Fonts channel. If you guys not subscribed to the channel, check me out. I'll be making my appearance on there. And then we have International Leftist Coalition on Tuesday as usual. And I will be back this Saturday with Danny Haifong. And I'm glad that you got Black in the Empire. He's a perfect guest for this show because I actually reached out to him and we're trying to figure out something. So that's gonna be a great show. So make sure you guys check that out. Thank everyone for watching, supporting us on Patreon, our Venmo, Cash App is the best way to support us if you support independent Black leftist journalists out here. So thank you guys for watching. We upload every day. That's all I have. Take care, guys.
All right. See ya.